Till I get up, time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. See the horizon, turn us to thousands, and we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the
Hi. Hello, everybody. How's it going? Good evening to you all, or morning or afternoon. It depends when you're watching this. Welcome along to my Twitch channel. I normally say welcome to the Blackout Racing League, but I don't know what's happening with that tonight. I'm going to play it by ear, which is convenient because I'm a commentator. How are we all doing? Hopefully, we're doing well. That is the main thing. I can know. By the way, I apologise for the background. I'm sorting it. Let me cook. I have a week off work at the moment, so I can cook up a little bit at least. Yeah, welcome along. Like I say, don't know what's happening, but either way, we're gonna go on a bit of a fun ride together. I thought mull through, have a little conversation about some things, have a little watch along at least over my Blackout Racing escapades. That's the plan, anyway. But first, I'm gonna turn off the music because it's time to get serious. Didn't realise you were a Prime D. Listen, offshore marketing is the way forward. Not that HMRC needs to know that. Anyway, we're going to get serious for a moment, other than my executive hedge funding strategy. Because we need to talk about something. We need to talk about F124, specifically. So, for those of us, myself, mainly, and some of us, that have pre-ordered the Champions Edition. If you didn't pre-order it on CD keys, I feel sorry for you. But if you did pre-order it on CD keys, you lucky bastard. The game is out at midnight tonight. That is the first opportunity the public and the masses get to play it. Although it hasn't given off the greatest first impressions, I'm sure you will all have seen many content creators and esports drivers in particular talking about primarily one aspect of the game, which I will get into, that it's terrible. And from what I've seen, I'm inclined to agree. And it sort of concerns me. Just so I can clear up my credentials as, I was going to say something I can't really say on this stream. A racing man. You can put 2 and 2 together on that one. I've played the F1 games since F1 2006. So that's a long time. I played the F1 game since I was age 5. How about that? How about that? It's a miracle I turned out the way I am. F1 2006, though, I enjoyed it. It was on the PS2. I got it for, I think, as a Christmas present, the PS2. And then F106. And I kept playing it for a very long time. I was rubbish. I was admittedly rubbish. And I had the difficulty on about -600. But I had fun. And that's the main thing. So I've played since then. I bought F1 2009. Didn't really realise at the time, because I was naive and young, that it was actually a terrible game. But at the time I enjoyed it. Then F1 2010 came out, and my world got flipped upside down. Because when you see graphics as good as that, you know you're in for a good time. And I've played the F1 games ever since, pretty much every single year, including F1 22. And that brings us nicely into this contextual part anyway, because F1 22 was genuinely, the handling was terrible. You had more traction in an actual hovercraft than a Formula 1 car. And it was not great. However, F1 23 fixed that. And that was great. Actually, really great. In fact, it was... What's the word I'm going to use? I don't even know what the word is. The handling was phenomenal. That's all I really need to say. Yes, not a lot of things changed. Yes, they added Breaking Point 2, which didn't hugely contribute to anything, I thought. But it was there. F1 World was regrettably there. But the handling was great. And really, as a main point of a racing game, the handling being good is probably the part you want to get the most right. So the fact that they did that, plus points from me. Good job. But a lot of parts did get neglected. So F1 23, I thoroughly enjoyed. And then we got the announcement for F1 24. Career mode was being updated. Whoa. There's only driver career mode. My team, they don't give two honks about, but it's there still. Driver career mode's received a huge improvement. That's all I know. And I think it's important not to start this off as a Debbie Downer, as a negative Nancy, because it's very, very easy to do that based on what we've seen. So let me just go through some of the positives that I have seen. Tyre temperatures actually meaning something is great, genuinely. It's annoying in some ways because my whole driving philosophy on what is almost the previous game now, which doesn't sit right with me. But my whole philosophy was just push 1,000,000% every single lap. And that was great fun. But realism calls, and they made tower temps mean something, so you've got to be a good boy. Now, carcass temps do turn into Mount Etna if you so much as try and Fernando Alonso 2005 and 6 your way around a track. Engine temperature matters more again. Track changes, oh my god, they did Spa, finally. After 6,000 millennia, they finally updated Spa-Francorchamps. They also updated Silverstone, they've updated Saudi Arabia. But I'm not going to let them off the hook here, Codemasters and EA. I see you, you're on my hit list. Because, not in that way. I don't want to take you out. I want to take you out in some way, just not that way. I'm going to snipe you from the heavens because Italy and Brazil are still exactly the same. In fact, the majority of the tracks are still exactly the same as they were. Better AI behavior. They actually try moves. Yes, AI behavior, I was going to say as well, is fantastic. Finally, they've improved a little bit. I mean, yes, they still kind of get out of the way and overtakes, but they do actually go for big moves, which is great. I love that. I want more racy AI. It means that dealing with the blood pressure of having to race Thanassi is just a little bit easier. What else? Additional setup tweaks are cool. Diff has a wider range. I don't know whether it's just... I mean, it goes down to 10% now. 10% to 100%. I think it's basically like the range before was 50 to 100, but the scaling's the same. So, I mean, basically there's just more adjustability in the middle. I don't know yet. I haven't tested it. Engine braking is a thing. That's cool. Who knows what kind of meta that's going to provide. Tyre pressures, there's a wider range now. I think some people have... I think Jana Ottmar said it's not exactly the same. There is a wider range. There's my team on co-op? I didn't even clock that. Yes! My team's on co-op, finally. That's good. What else? Driver career looks cool, woo. It does actually look cool. Andretti confirmed. Codemasters and EA know something that apparently Formula 1 doesn't. Which at this point wouldn't surprise me in some ways, but there you go. I don't know. There's probably a million other things that are good that I just haven't written down. I think the good thing is that they kind of changed I don't know. It's a double-edged sword, really, because they changed their priorities from the handling, which they definitely had to fix after F1 22. There's no question about that. To updating game modes, updating tracks. With the exclusive scoop. You can say that again, Sunshine. Yeah, the focus on game modes was the primary thing, especially driver career mode, which is good to see. From what I've seen, actually, they look really nice. But then you get to the handling aspect of things, and from what's going through the Twitter sphere and on an internet, it's not looking great so far. And I will preface this by saying that there is a large patch coming through for F1 24 pretty soon after the game comes out to the masses. As far as I know, when it's released tonight, for those of us that do get the Champions Edition, it will still have the handling that we're quite displeased with, to put lightly. But there will be an update very, very soon. So fingers crossed, and knock on wood, and my desk is made of wood, so we're in good stead, that all things are well. Now, handling-wise, visually, it's not looking great. And, like I say, I've prefaced it by saying the handling most definitely will change. And probably has to change. There's a million videos on the internet now about people going full throttle for Australia chicane just by turning the wheel like Fernando Alonso. And yes, I know I said tyre temperatures were a thing, but even so, he still managed to do it. Qatar, you don't even have to brake for the first two corners. Qatar looks weird, by the way. I don't understand why there's all the greenery in the desert, but that's just me. Maybe they're cooking up something there that I don't know about. Gentrified sand. It's probably not the right phrase. I'm not a gardener. What else did I write? Yeah, I think the main point I've written here on this very interestingly crafted document is that the handling needed an evolution, not a revolution. and they sort of ignored reason on that. I can't really understand why, because the handling was, by all accounts, is pretty much there in F1 23, in my opinion anyway. I know sliding was a meta, and still is a meta, but like, if you just take out sliding being a meta and put the priority on driving smoothly, but keep the physics of the car feeling like you're actually connected to a car, then that's all you really need to do as a step forwards. Then you've updated driver career mode, and life is good. They didn't do that for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. And the thing is, when you hear it on face value, it's not that bad. Like, in high speed, you can feel the car actually hunkering down to the ground and using all of the aerodynamic prowess it possibly can. That's great. I love that. And in the low speed, you can feel the weight of the car. Therefore, it's a bit more lethargic, a bit more sluggish. You have to do a little bit more work to get the car turning how you want it to. And that's fine. That's good. But then, from what we've all seen, the front end, you've basically sat an elephant on the front of it. That's how much weight has been prioritised. And it's like driving as Max Verstappen, but to the scale of a trillion. They say that they've worked with F1 drivers, specifically on the throttle trace, from what Marmaduke said. They said the throttle trace being made easier, basically the F1 drivers made that quite apparent, and they did change that, so that's good. I think Codemasters and EA said there was general feedback from F1 drivers about updating the handling, so they obviously went to Ricardo Rosset for that one, which is not a great barometer. Anywho, they did that nonetheless. It looks like driver career has been given the FIFA treatment with the contract signings and performance review cutscenes. Yes, that's decent. Merc clipping the track sound is on point. It's getting there. They've done loads of work to aspects of the game outside of the handling, which are pretty good. Like, I just don't understand why they thought the handling needed such a dramatic change. Obviously, they're changing something, or back, or, like I said, evolution, not revolution. What else? Oh no, I forgot. ERS modes, they're back. I completely forgot about that. ERS modes, cool, they're back. Nice. I think Overtake is slightly too powerful. I say slightly too powerful. It's way too powerful at the moment, but that's a cool thing to have. I think there can be good games with that if they sort the balancing of that a little bit. F1 World, I can't really understand why that's still a thing. Full disclosure, the only reason I would ever... It's a good point. Let me drop 70 quid because of the Mercedes clipping the floor sound. Listen, I can feel the money loosening from my wallet already just from hearing that big sound. Don't take the piss here. The F1 World, the only reason I would ever play it is because of scenario mode. I think scenario mode is really cool. The fact it's locked behind F1 World really sucks, because I have never ever played F1 World. I cannot understand the point of it. There has been no longevity and no reason for me to do it. I've enjoyed driving the... I mean, there's probably a reason for a lot of people to play F1 World, or some people to play F1 World, and fair enough. There might be something. You need the ch-ch-ch noise. I sound like the sound design. Codemasters? Call me, I'm your sound design guy. Actually, probably not. I've thought about making an engine noise and I decided to restrain myself. Like I say though, F1 World I've hardly touched, and to that effect, supercars. I don't think anyone since F1 22 has gone near them. Why they removed classic cars in the first place, well, I imagine it boils down to all licensing. But at the same time, it's not really acceptable to then replace it with supercars, which feel horrible and nobody uses, and you can't even race online. So what is the point of them existing, other than just being a collector's item? F1 World is leaderboards for people with no friends. That's why we at Blackout do time trial. I've written add more tracks in capital letter. Right, but Sam, there's no need for that, is there? I don't do F1 World, I do time trial. Because I have... Anyway, I said add more tracks. I said, like, things like Hockenheim, Sepang, Magny Core. Actually, the thing I think would really cook as an idea is historic track layouts. Like the later 90s, early 2000s layout of Imola. Add that back in, it seemed pretty cool. Why not have that? Bahrain, track layouts, sort them out. I know there was short circuits previously, but have something cook in there, that'd be pretty cool. What other tracks could you have layouts on? Albert Park, the old layout. just have some nostalgia trips back in there. You don't even need to necessarily add new tracks, but like historic layouts of tracks just as a thing. Old Silverstone. Imagine old Silverstone with the new cars in a Formula 1 game. It'd be so sick. So sick, in my opinion, anyway. What else have I written other than just add more tracks? HUD customization would be cool. Yeah, I don't know. So the HUD is really polarizing, isn't it? Some people like it. A lot of people don't. I don't know. Personally, I don't want to have to look through a telescope every time I want to know how much I'm braking. So, I mean, just an option to have either... I mean, obviously, in their eyes, it's admitting defeat. But for people who want to customize their HUD, give them the option to do so. If they want a bigger throttle and brake trace overview, give them that option. And other things besides. I just think that would be a decent amount. My main thing at the bottom here, I put, what the hell is the low speed? I don't. Yeah, sliding's apparently still a thing in F1 20. Well, with the initial handling. What else? The camera when the car turns a corner. Oh my god, I'm gonna get motion sickness from driving F1 24 initially. Because I get it. You've put the focus on the suspension. Cool, but you've done it too much, so it looks like I'm getting whiplash every corner. It's the Ollie Bearman simulator. How about that? At least they weren't completely insane when they made that particular idea. I've written here F1 23. Nothing really changed in terms of game modes. I mean, they added Breaking Point 2, which is there, and F1 World, which I wish wasn't there. But the handling was a gargantuan improvement. I think that goes without saying. And in F1 24, the priority switched, which is odd. And I don't think... It's not odd in the sense that they didn't need to focus on the handling and they had to focus on game modes. I think that was absolutely the right thing to do for this game. I think that changing anything at all with the handling or thinking it needed a complete overhaul was a ridiculous idea. And that's the situation we find ourselves in. And I think people find it very, very easy to blame EA in this particular instance because their name's just stamped on the front of the game. The Codemasters are equally as responsible. I think we have to acknowledge that at the end of the day. Codemasters are the ones that have control over how the game handles, how it looks, etc, 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 etc. Blah, 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 blah. New suspension has apparently made curbs too easy to ride with no detriment. Yes, that is a thing. I've seen footage on Jeddah in particular. The outside curb on Sector 1, the double right, before you sweep through the left and onto that little straight. That one there, you can literally go half. You can put the plank on the curb and you're still fine, which is interesting. Not entirely sure what's up with that, but something's up with that. Yeah, like I say, there's going to be a patch. There should be a patch. I'm pretty confident there will be a patch on F1 24 very, very quickly. But yeah, I think everyone has now seen what kind of mess has been made in terms of the handling and whatnot. I think the thing to kind of consider with F1 24 is that it is kind of an extension of F1 23 in some regards. I get it. But equally, they have put the effort into driver career. They have done various bits and pieces with track improvements. It's not perfect. The handling has been a shambles. That's all that really needs to be said. When they fix the handling, there will be a decent game on. You know. I don't know. When does the time come where they just release one F1 game as a standalone thing and just add content year on year on year on year? I mean, I don't know how difficult it is or how viable it is, but that'd be decent, no? Because then you have the grids of cars from previous seasons. You can see the evolutions and what. I don't know. The EA Sports business modelling. Anyway, enough about F1 24. Hopefully the handling will be fixed and all will be mostly well in the world. What I am going to show you, though, is some very, very cool things, because a lot of you will have seen this starting screen. Oh my goodness me, it looks sexy, doesn't it? And that's because it was made by none other than Mr. Magico, at RD Magico. If you haven't followed him on Twitch, he is an absolute legend, and he is also my husband. So go and follow him, because not only has he made me that, he's also made me a standby screen. And not only has he made me a standby screen with me looking... Oh... there's a stream ending screen as well, with me looking like a Funko Pop. But it's amazing, genuinely. Magico, you absolute superstar. Thank you very, very much for making these. You are an absolute legend of the scene. And no words will ever be enough. So there you go. I've got Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris. I feel like making those two drivers on the covers cooked in some ways. Norris has won a race, and now so has Cheryl Leclerc. That is fantastic. And not only that, because I'm going to kind of expose my streaming layout for a little bit. Look at this. I've got a webcam box as well. Look at that. Again, with Eclair's helmet and Lando Boris's helmet on the right. Look at that. Nice little border. I've had to stretch myself out a little bit anyway. But, yeah, here I am. I've got my own cute little webcam box. So when I watch the races now, you know what my name is. Yeah! Fantastic. Anywho, I think it is a good time that we get to work on some things. Why is this not working on this scene? I don't actually know. Why are you not doing that, huh? Trying to get my DS things to work now, because I have a feeling we're just going to have a little chat tonight. That is what we're going to do. Let me open up... Where is it? This. Ah, yes. We are back in business, ladies and gentlemen. Minigames, that's what I want. We are also going to go to... That is... I don't know, either a very traumatizing piece of music. I don't even know. Anyway, let's go and do... Actually, I can't say that because I'll get smited off of the platform. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's a Mario stream, and we are going to be sending Luigi to the gallows with financial ruin. That is a very good start, and I can only smell the whiff of victory. That's right! Sit down, Luigi. You are nothing and no one, even though you are my favourite Mario Kart character. So there you go. Next up, that's not great. Keep the star because it's the highest one. That's probably... I've got 44 wins, not consecutively, but it's like the streak of wins. One pair, is it enough? No. No, it's not. No, it's not. Luigi has actually shagged me, and he takes 4 of my Mueller, and Toad's walking around with about 7 pixels on his right hand. Doesn't even care about what's going on. Unbelievable stuff. That's pretty much the same cars I had! You... Twallop. Why have you done that? Luigi cheats. Don't do it. Let me cook. Let me cook. I can do this. Right. That's not good. That is not good at all. Right. Anyone who's here. Which card? Shall I keep Mario, Flower, Ouija, Mushroom, or Star? If you have no answers within 10 seconds, I'm just going to pick one anyway. How about that? Anyone with a suggestion? Well, the Mushroom's staying. I think I trust Mushrooms. As a hedge fund executive, offshore manager, I should have kept Mario, really. Mushroom and Mario. You know what? Mushroom and Mario has stayed. And the cloud represents my feelings after I've done the Mushrooms. That is quite horrible. Moving on. We reset. We go again. New mindset. It's got to be the clouds kept. There's 2 of them. And where there was pain with the clouds previously, 2 pairs with Luigi and clouds. It's a very good Friday night. You fat bastard. Why would you do that? I hate you. Expelling my hatred for Luigi for 2 seconds. Ah! 2 pairs again, and it's Luigi and clouds. Let's hope it's right. It's not exactly what I was looking for, but it's okay. Let me cook and win this. You tosspot. Children that are watching, you shouldn't be watching this because this is probably against your morals, but don't gamble. I think that's what we've learned today. Keeping them... Oh, that's good. That's good. This is it. Surely, I've won. Yes! Sit down. That is bank. We're going to make it to 3,000 coins tonight, gentlemen. And ladies. We don't discriminate here. And unspecified genders. Oh, 3-of-a-kind clouds. That's good. That is a bonkers Saturday stash. And it has resulted in a sumptuous spending for Luigi. Because we get 16 of his hard-earned cash. That is quite wonderful. Again, Luigi sorts out the deck, and he is a deck because he's given me nothing. Mario will stay, though. He'll hand out the cards. We get 2 pairs. Okay, 2 pairs. That is a nice... Yes! Best highest card. And Luigi is crying. We love to see it. Up to 42 now on the right-hand side of the bottom screen, which is in about 1p resolution. Keeping Mario for this one. Here we go. Get ready to rumble. Oh, that's good. There's no way he wins this. There's no way. Hold that! The L on your hat, that describes you perfectly, my friend. And we are at 3,000 already. That is absolutely wonderful. I'm going to do this for a few more minutes. And then we're going to talk about Blackout. Because I haven't looked over my Canada race yet. We're going to keep Luigi for this one. I haven't looked over my Canada race yet. We can have a nice talk about my qualifying process, etc. I've lost. I wasn't even paying attention. I have just lost, though. And that is not great. Done. And I'm going to change the category to F123. Or should I? I'm not... Is the category really F123, or is it just chatting? Because technically I'm not really playing F123. I guess I'm on F123, so we'll just go with that. 3 of a kind flowers. This is good because I'm bringing the heat and Luigi can't hack it. He has been pyroclastically punched. And that means we're up to 3,004 coins when the original bets are laid on the table. We get rid of our middle 3. Can it be 3 of a kind? No, because Luigi's marriage collapsed when he had 3s. And, well, there's Exhibit A. He only deals in 3s. That's why he has no friends. Good grief. Right, we got flowers for this one. We're going to just send them to the Shadow Realm. And then we're going to get 2 mushrooms in return. That is very interesting. Can it be a win? Yes, it can. This is absolutely fantastic. There's no other word for it. Absolutely wonderful stuff. We've got 2 clouds now. Well, we've got to hope for 3 of a kind in clouds, because 1 pair clouds just aren't worth my time. Luckily, 2 flowers will do the business slightly more. Can it be a boisterous bonanza? It is a pummeling. It is a preposterous pummeling. 3,020 coins. If we get to 45 in this next one, we are straight over to watching the Canadian Grand Prix. Watchalong for Blackout. Hello to everyone that is watching. If you're confused as to why we're not watching it just yet, the addiction is killing Mario and his family. We've made it to 45. 3,024 coins. And now... we can... oh, no, wait a second, because he's given us 2 Luigis and 2 stars. He's not exactly dealt me a good hand here. We're going to just carry on as we were. It's 2 pairs. We've won. That is fantastical. Phantasmagorical. That is not what that means at all. But we're carrying on anyway. 2 stars. Oh, my giddiest aunt. This is going to be a drubbing for Mr. Ouija. 1 pair, and it's a star, and it is a drubbing. We're up to 47 now. And it's poetic, because that is Mick Schumacher's Formula 1 number, or was Mick Schumacher's Formula 1 number. And the main thing about gambling is you know when to quit. And I do know when to quit. And so it is done. Now, here is what we are going to do. We are going to not go there. We're going to go to the standby screen. Look at that sexy man right there. That is wonderful. I'm going to put some music on. And then once we are ready for the Canadian Grand Prix watch-along, I will be right back. So tune in. We're going to have a nice talk about my qualifying process, my race process. You'll find out how I went at the same time as me. Back in a few minutes. Enjoy the tunes. Right, ladies and gentlemen. I couldn't hear anything out of my left ear for a second, but now I can. So, what is happening? The answer is we are going to... Let me just check that this still works. Yes, it does. Hello. Right. Magico's here. Hello, Magico. Yes, it is a very appreciative me. Like I said, thank you very, very much for the wonderful graphics. Not only for my webcam box that you can see, but also the start-up, standby, and end screens, which are just ridiculous. You also made the donation banners, socials banner, etc. All of those down below my Twitch. He made those as well. He is an absolute legend. He also is my husband, and I love him very dearly. So if you haven't followed him, go and follow him as a thank you from me. What an absolute legend he is. Now, here we are. Apparently, it's my great capture. Was it? We're going to find out very soon. Now, just before I preface this with my... And also, because of my soppy thing with Magico, a lot of people have very different ways of preparing for a Blackout Racing League race. Some of us go to time trial and sweat profusely. I won't comment on whether that's me. Some of us get together, have a tweak through setups, go through racing lines, have a great time. That's how me and Magico cooked up last season, or tried to cook up. How did we cook up? How well did we cook up? You're going to find out. And some other people, like Timalele, prepare for F1 23 on Blackout by playing Minecraft. There's different ways of going about there, but actually, Minecraft's physics are not too far off the F1 games. In his mind. So here we are then, the Canadian Grand Prix. I'm going to do that before I go deaf onto Volume 10, Pierre Gasly's number, because we're in the Alpine, out of the garage for the very first time, here at Le Canadian Grand Prix. Tim would steal my time trial setups. You are probably not wrong. Out of the pits we go. Main thing here, I put the brake bias up, obviously, just so I could get equal distribution on the brakes. Probably broke a bit too heavily coming out of the pit lane, but we'll ignore that. That ahead of us, I think, is Thanasi on his first qualifying lap of the day. Canada, a decent track for me at the time. A lot better. Actually, full disclosure, I did time trials for a few of the tracks. I'm still trying to work on Austria. I've got within 1,000th of my time trial time, and somehow I'm just not beating it for some reason, which is really annoying. I beat my Miami time by 2 temps, beat my Imola time by 3 temps, and beat this one. Well, I got into the 1 minute 8s on this one, finally. So it's good to know that all the practice wasn't for nothing, which is good news. But here, my times were pretty decent. I felt pretty good going into this one. We don't talk about how Imola went. I wanted to game end myself. There's Terziak, championship leader currently, locking up his rear brakes, going into the hairpin. And behind us is that Alpine. That is my teammate, Mr. Magico. I think I was asking him there over the radio waves, were you on a lap? No, we didn't. We didn't do a setup check, just tyre... Yeah, we did do tyre ideas. Like I said, Imola, I didn't really do setup checks. These are all time trial setups pretty much until after the British Grand Prix or the week after. Can't remember. Anyway, here's my first lap. Brake bias down to 54%. Braking at the tarmac or just after it on the right-hand side. Going slightly wide. Hugging the inside, though, crucially. I tried to let off the steering a little bit and then proceeded to mess it up. So then I slowed it down, got my brakes on again, and decided to go. I invalidated my lap time as well just to rub salt into the wound. Magico was charging anyway, so what was the point? Here I am then. An actual lap, and Dirkleton, look, that right there was attempted assassination. You're going to see it in front of your eyes. I couldn't take that final chicane to save my life on this day. Goodness me. Look at that. See, stays to the left. Think he's going to... Oh, no, never mind. Going to go right. That right there is attempted murder. Jay Lane says that Canada is his most cursed track on the entire calendar. After this race, you'll probably find it was also mine. Although, if you want to go and watch Canada from multiple perspectives, go to Jay Lane's channel. That being JLan3 on a YouTube, on an internet. Go and check it out. Right there you will find the first 3 races. 4th race at the Austrian Grand Prix is cooking up and will be out soon. Across the line we go, though, after Dirkleton tried to assassinate me. Through into turn 1. Start of the lap, we didn't cook up as much going into turn 1, but out of turn 2, because we got a better exit, we're already up by over a second. And now through the chicane, main thing here is not to invalidate. I go extremely wide. Thanasi goes fast, as you can see, 1 minute 10.1. So that is the benchmark to try and beat as we breeze our way through this particular chicane. A little bit of a lack of confidence on the throttle, really. You can hold it about the 3/4 mark and push it through the right-hander. As long as you carry the speed, the aerodynamics will follow. Under the bridge, braking nicely, keep it in 5th so you have the traction. Again, a little bit tentative on the throttle, but just not feeling at one with the car just yet. I think it's my first lap of Canada on this particular day. Nice braking into the hairpin, just about pinching in. Brake bias up to 55 at this point as well, just to make sure that the stability was there and I didn't lock the rear brakes. But now DRS wide open as we head towards the final chicane. Probably the second easiest place to invalidate your track time. Take it a very conservative pace, but 5th gear, narrowest line of attack towards the line, and it is not pole position. It is 2/10, almost 3/10 off of Thanasi. Despite the purple Sector 3, we do have a little bit of work to do in our second qualifying lap, which I am going to find now. I'm just watching Terziak at this point, actually. I was watching drivers all the way through just to kind of see what times they were doing, engaging where I was sort of losing time at the end of the day. As you can see, that's the situation of things. Thanasi's Sector 2 was ridiculous. Wilco's Sector 1 actually is the fastest so far. So 3 drivers with the 3 best sectors. I was only 13 thousandths quicker through the last sector. Me and Thanasi cooking through there. Although Pathiman and Terziak not far off. So qualifying was not set in stone at this particular point. So it meant going out again after I'd watched Thanasi dive into the pits at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Just after warming up the tyres. And at this point in the hairpin here, I saw... I made a yellow flag, so that's my fault. But I was asking Magico at this point whether he was on a flying lap, because I decided to do some proper teamwork. Aston Martin drivers, take notes. I put the ERS up into hot lap, gave him a juicy little slipstream, and away he goes. I hope that helped to some degree. I reckon it did anyway, but through the final chicane we go. I said immediately I was going to be starting my flying lap. Narrowest line of attack for Magico. I believe he improves. But through the first 2 corners, he gets well out of the way. And so we go for my final attack of the Montreal circuit. Through the first 2 corners, so much more confidence on traction. I'm just going to sample the engine noise a tiny bit more. Go for that Fernando Alonso race number. The chicane, oh my god, the chicane was so much better. Just a little bit more cut of that first curve, and it opens up the rest of the corner. That was almost bang on the limit right there. If anything, could afford to take a bit more speed into the right-hander. It's all about carrying momentum through there. About halfway through, if not even slightly further on, between the 50 and 100 boards, going through there, and more confidence on the traction. And now we power down under the Qatar Airways unethical banner, but our braking certainly is ethical with the track limits. More confidence on the power, now half a second up on our time. We're easily into the 1-minute 9s. Wilco, though, goes fastest, so there's still work to do. Not only to keep this time, but not to invalidate our time, as we get a good exit out of the hairpin. A little bit lackluster at the apex of the corner, but an astonishing exit is all we need to propel us through to phenomenal proportions throughout the rest of this Montreal lap. Braking again, 75 metres, in fact just before the 50. Lots more speed carried at the apex. A little bit lackluster on the exit again, but shortest line of attack, a 1-minute 9.7. Thank you very much. Second pole position of the season. And that is all she wrote. Unless Terziak has something to say about it, I can't really remember. Magico retires in P13. Terziak across the line, and he's just missed out on claiming the top of the second row of the grid. So not to be for the Red Bull driver. So it's myself from Wilco. Milo retires from the session. There's only Buck20 and Maximus, really, to try and settle scores. Maximus does improve, but not enough. Buck20 into the pit lane. So that right there is your order. Buck57 got disqualified in this session somehow. I think for somehow going backwards on the track. Can't remember how. But it's myself from Wilco, from Thanasi, from Terziak, from Maximus, Pathiman, Buck20, Milo. The McLarens are 7th and 8th, 4th row lockout. Tarquini is 9th, Stark is 10th, with Dirkleton, Guardian, J-Lane, Magico, Vulcan, Big Sam, Raiden, and Buck57 on the moon, because he got disqualified. But there you go. That puts an end to qualifying, and now we're going to go forwards into race day. As you can see, I'm checking the race director at this point just to see what the strategies are. And the thing is, I forgot to mention the weather. It's going to rain at some point during this Canadian Grand Prix. I didn't know when. I thought it was about halfway through. So that's why I thought medium tyres, they can easily make the rain period, no matter when it comes, whether it's halfway or slightly beforehand. That is the plan anyway. Sitting on the start line, though, I always check the race director before the race just to see what everyone else is doing in terms of tyres. I do like a bit of a contra strategy. And I thought starting on the hards wasn't going to really give me the purchase. So I thought mediums was the way to go. Use our pace and cook up. 5 red lights at Montreal. Light up. Lights out, away we go, and it is a decent start on the medium tyres. Wilco on the hards doesn't get a great start. As a result, he's vulnerable from behind. If you want the perspectives, go to J-Lane's channel for that one. But we hug the inside, and away we go. Those two squabbling away at the first corner mean we get an absolutely meteoric launch. We mince the two minstrels behind us, and now we're already out of DRS range of Wilco, and we're not even out of Sector 1. We just get out of there, breaking a bit late into Sector 2, so have to watch that a little bit. If anything, hindsight dictates I probably should have put the brake bias up to 55 at this point, and I do now actually going into this corner, so thanks me for writing my own script. Just making sure I don't get track limits warnings either. Wilco gets a great run, actually, through that particular section of corners. Canada is where I got done over by J-Lane in the YouTube video. Aw. J-Lane, why would you do that to my husband, man? That's really sad. Through the hairpin, we gain 2 tenths, make that 3 tenths on Wilco, and it's Terziak on the attack on Thanasi, because Thanasi made a mistake into the hairpin. It's going to be a drag race now into the chicane, and it looks like, yeah, Thanasi concedes to Terziak. So through the championship leader goes into P3, and at the moment, it's just about using the pace we have on these medium tyres. 1 minute 17.1, that is the benchmark, and as we head onto the end of lap number 2, the gap's now 3 seconds. We are absolutely flying here in the streets of Montreal. Across the line we go, and it's a 1 minute 13.0. Very, very close to breaching the 1 minute 12 barrier, but not to be on this particular occasion. DRS enabled on this lap, and it was all systems go from Imola, basically. I felt like I had a score to settle with myself after bottling it at the end of that race. So it's just about conservation now. I have to listen to my teammates' wise words. You don't have to throw it all away just to prove something. I didn't have to prove anything. I was 11 seconds ahead and I just binned it on my own. So don't go for setting records every race. Just if you have that gap, take it easy. And I see track limits. That's my first warning of the race at that particular moment. It's not particularly ideal, but as long as it stays dry for a long time, I won't really have an issue because, well, let's put it this way. This setup is no good in a wet, as I will soon find out. But 3.8 seconds, that is the gap as we head now onto lap number 4. 4.5 seconds. Make that almost 5 seconds now as we head into the hairpin. It's going absolutely fantastically well. And at this point, nothing to report in terms of what other drivers are up to. I mean, Wilco's keeping a 6/10 gap to Thanasi at this particular stage, although at the hairpin, not had a great exit. Could mean he's vulnerable to attack from the Red Bull driver. In fact, make that extremely vulnerable. Terziak's caught him napping. Thanasi's caught Wilco napping as well. It's double trouble. And, well, Wilco's probably Code Brown moment right there, but he does make the moment. Buck 20's already got a 3-second penalty halfway through lap 5. Very nice. But we're just carrying on. It's a 50% race, of course, as is the format of the Blackout Racing League, but we're just carrying on the progress. 6 seconds now, the gap, and Alpha Tauri's had a bit of a moment at the back there, as you can see, out of the hairpin. Pirelli tyres biting into the bitumen very handsomely indeed. Again, no problems at all, and we go onto the hairpin on lap number 6. Now the gap at 6 seconds. Thanasi's actually got past Terziak at this point. And we're about equal on pace, to be honest with you. So I was okay with that. I wasn't too worried about that. As you can see, he brakes extremely late, but can't carry the speed at the apex. As a result, we gain all of the time and a little bit more that we lost on the initial braking. There's a Mercedes. There's a big duel going on at the hairpin between the Mercedes and a couple of other cars. There's Buck 57, who started at the back, now almost in the top 10. So, I mean, credit where credit's due. He's having an absolutely great crack at things. As we go on, though. Hello. Right, this is where things got a bit interesting in terms of deciding the stipulations of this race. That's the Ferrari of Guardian, and the safety car is out. And I did have a thought about coming into the pits. It was mainly just keeping the Delta. I thought, no, we're not going to. Not going to come into the pits. There's no reason for me to. Not only is the sun out more now than it was at the beginning of this race, Thanasi comes in, Terziak comes. They've all got drive-through penalties. Because of, well, the pit assist delta's just a mess. But, yeah, that made things quite nice for me. So as you can see, we're just going to carry on here. The order of the race now, the top 5 at least, is myself, Milo, Jamie Tarquin has 6 seconds of penalties already. Pathiman in 4th, Thanasi in 5th. Preparing to resume racing. I've got my tyres nice and warm. Milo just making my diffuse and my rear end a little bit nervous. A little bit squirmy-wormy, which is illegal in most cases. But in Blackout, there is no such thing as illegal, so it's okay. But immediately on the restart, we gain a second out of the chicane. Literally just getting a good exit out of the chicane. Mostly getting a good exit out of the final corners. That's what it boiled down to for me. And Aston Martin in the pit lane. I have a feeling that that's Wilco. And I don't know whether he did actually manage to complete his drive-through or whether he ended up pitting again. I think he actually did complete his drive-through, which is lucky for him. And as you can see, my tyres just not up to it. Massive slide through the chicane. Lucky to not lose more time. Only 3 attempts lost in the end, but we can't afford to be making mistakes like that. Magico with a big drive-through facepalm, and I don't blame him. A lot of drivers falling foul to Codemasters being Codemasters. So we carry on through. Jamie Tarquin's now up into P2 at this point. Millo's dropped all the way back to P5. And through the hairpin we go. There was another problem. I can't remember between who. Let me find out. Through the hairpin we go. And it's a Ferrari gone again. Guardian's had another issue. This time he's properly crashed out. And that will do it. And now I have a decision to make. Do I come in? And here comes my first mistake. I went into the pits. Realistically, that was not the right thing to do. I should have stayed out. Because soon after this, as you can see, coming up to the end of the safety car, well, you'll find out exactly what the scope of everything is. But Thanasi will lead the field away, having not served his drive-through. So there's some consolation in that, at least. I'm alongside Raiden, kind of like, what are you doing, mate? Get a move on, please. There's only so much I can do. There's a McLaren into the pit lane, I think of buck 20, as now the rain started. So all of that work to go onto the hard tyres has been for absolutely nought. I don't know why. I had an illegal overtake on Raiden and Jamie Tarquin down the inside, and it's clumsy. It's really clumsy. I was screaming over the headset at this point. Excuse me. I was screaming over the headset that I literally had an illegal overtake. Just bear with. And unfortunately for me, well, as I broke to try and let him back through, Jamie, admittedly, there was little. I should have waited until after the first corner. It's completely my fault at the end of the day for not warning him sooner. Hathiman already on intermediates at this point. Yeah, Jamie Tarquin and I coming to blows, and I take most of the responsibility. However, he did slow down initially, and then I've got a 3-second penalty now because I've lost all composure. It's not gone very well, but at least it's not 6 seconds like the man behind me. Pathaman on the inters, and this is going to be the barometer in terms of whether it's the right time to be on those tyres, and at the moment, it's not. ERS being deployed down the straight. We're going to try and dive down the inside, although I hang fire for now, which realistically wasn't a very smart idea. I should have just banzaied it down the inside. And J-Lane with the and through goes J-Lane. There was an and through goes, yeah, it was an and through goes J-Lane moment. Pathaman with a lockup. That sends me so incredibly wide. As a result, there goes the Ferrari, and things going from bad to worse for me. Was in P1, and now it's P15. Thanasi now serving his drive-through, but unfortunately, with the rain coming down as it is, it's surely the right time to come in for the intermediate tyres. Jamie Tarquin agrees. We're both going in. The Xbox Brigade are on the move. Onto the intermediates we go. Thanasi's had to serve his drive-through. I think Ahassa's also had to do so. They've had to serve their drive-throughs, and they have to do one more lap on the dry tyres, and that is going to kill their race completely. So, all things considered, could have been worse is the ultimate assessment I had at this particular moment. With 39 downforce on the front wing at least, I thought it couldn't actually be that bad. But out of the first corner we go, and well, let's see what on earth we can do on the intermediate tyres. First car ahead is Raiden then. Jamie wasting no time at all to cut through not just him, but trying to get past Big Sam as well. Raiden gets his braking completely wrong. I say thank you very much, as he's the bringer of his own downfall. And I'm, well, the harbinger of success as we get through into P16. That's not success, that's no points. But Jamie Tarquin using the ERS to the best of his ability and the slipstream on the outside of Big Swimmer. And that can only end in complete disaster. So I'm waiting very, very patiently. Could go for a switchback out of the chicane. Not feeling the traction at all. I don't think I've driven in the wet for a very, very long time at this point. But down the inside we go of the Ferrari driver. Can't really afford to fight too much at this particular juncture. I leave him enough space. I leave him a double-decker bus's width to basically work with. But now what's turned from getting past Tarquin is the outside of Big Sam as well. We get past both of them, but there's been a bit of an issue between Big Sam and Jamie Tarquin, but we were on the outside line, so it's thank you very much, and through we go into P14. But the intermediate conditions, we're just not having a great time at all. There's old mate J-Lane, by the way, in the Williams, just up ahead. Thanasi hounding him, giving him no quarter at all, and immediately he's down the inside and trying to get past, although he makes a bit of a haulix of the exit. And there's Wilco as well, and he makes a bit of a mistake, so we're going to ERS our way down the inside. Can we break in time for the hairpin? The answer is yes, we do. Keeping down the inside, Wilco goes pretty wide, but luckily for us, the shortest line of attack is the way forwards, and up into P13. We now find ourselves up, elevating all the time, plus 2 laps on fuel as well. Look at that. Absolutely wonderful. Next target is J-Lane, though. We do have a 3-second penalty to our name, though, so not all is set in stone as such. We exceed track limits again, which I thought was a bit bollocks, personally, for lack of a better term. But Slipstream down the inside of J-Lane. We got so much overspeed, but he, well, brakes very late, and credit to him, carries the speed. Still remaining pretty tentative on my end, just to make sure I don't make a complete horse's arse of anything at this race after the Imola race I had. So through the chicane we go, again, just sussing things out, trying to suss out where the grip is, where I'm feeling confident in the wet, and the answer is nowhere. I'm not feeling confident anywhere in these particular conditions. My braking is all off. I was braking really unnaturally now when I look back at it. It's not a great sight to see, but a good exit out of the right-hander. Again, looking for the line on Mr. J-Lane, but nothing doing there. We have to bide our time even more. Maybe should have put the brake bias up again to maybe 56, but should have been, could have been. We are ready for J-Lane with the greatest defense in history, in his words, as I get it completely wrong into the hairpin. My rear brakes completely cooked themselves. No idea why, but anyway, we carry on now. Forwards we go, and this is where things get interesting. This is my husband leading this small train of cars, and at this point I'm like, husband, stand tall, as Vulcan, excuse me, tries to go down the inside. J-Lane gets crossed up, so I go around the outside of him. I say thank you very much. Vulcan's next up. I pick up the pieces from where he faltered, and then suddenly there's a massive red arrow. It's Wilco sending himself 2 Wilcos. Magico gets sent wide, so does Vulcan. J-Lane makes a 4-car overtake in 1 corner. He is the greatest driver in Blackout history. I said it and I'll say it again. Could be one of the moves of the season, let's be honest with you here. Slipstream being used, he defends the inside, but to be honest, I was never going to go for the move, although, oh dear, yeah, yeah, that was a thing, wasn't it? Vulcan has absolutely obliterated me into the chicane, no idea why. I mean, I broke late enough as it is. I was trying to collect up my own mistake. If I broke late, Vulcan was off to Alaska, because as you can see, I'm collecting up the rear brakes. Vulcan has shafted me off into a spin. And who hits my side pod? I've no idea who just hit me. I think it was Jamie Tarquin. At least I'm pretty sure it was. But now we're really quite cross at this point. I must be honest with you. It's not gone well. I've been absolutely obliterated. I'm now 3 seconds off Raiden, and with cooked tyres and confidence at an all-time low. As you can see, yeah, you can see how cooked my tyres are because I'm just sliding everywhere now. There's no sense of grip at all. Towards the end of the lap, Jamie Tarquin has, well, he's got a copious amount of front wing damage. Magico says that was bad. It was bad. It was bad. It was possibly report worthy, but I didn't do anything. I didn't report anyone this season. I just vibed the entire season. But yeah, thought about a move on Jamie Tarquin. Didn't go for it because I knew he was pitting anyway. So now attention turns to Raiden. We are back to square one. And 1 point, well 4 points at the moment if you include the 3 fastest lap points. And that is how you stay ahead of a fast driver. I won't spoil it for you all just yet. But if you are reading chat on Twitch, you will know what happened. Raiden is the first car to try and be minced then. I think about a move down the inside. And just by telegraphing, well, he obviously didn't read the Daily Memo on that one because he has been absolutely crisped through that corner. And the slobber knocker continues for me as now we find my aggressor, Vulcan, in the distance. I've exceeded track limits again in the meantime. I'm still trying to regain composure and find pace at this particular stage of the race. It's not a great scenario to be in. I normally say stupendous scenario. This is far from stupendous. It's stupid. with all other terms eluding my vocabulary. So down the straight we go. We've got a long way to go, and as you can see, that's the move being made there, because Vulcan goes for a little slidey slide, I think, out of turn 2. Whee! There he goes. Absolutely. Well, that's lovely for me. Thank you very much. Through we go into P13. Thanks, engineer. I couldn't care less at this point. P13 was plankton. I hated P13. I felt robbed. I should have been up with the Magico train up ahead, but unfortunately, well, it's not even a train. He's only holding up. He's not even holding up Maximus. Maximus can't even get him on the full wets. But yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible at this stage, and we keep going. We keep going. I mean, I'm catching Wilco slowly but surely, so I decided to pit onto the wet tyres. For some reason, I thought that was a good idea. At least I'm catching Maximus at this particular stage. And I was catching Magico at a hefty rate of knots, although the braking was just absolutely horrible. So I felt like it wasn't worth it. But safety car queue, I went onto the inters, and then decided to pit onto wets again. I'm skipping through this because what is the point in showing you the safety car? I'm not going to make the same mistake I did before in terms of usurping or trying to usurp the driver ahead of me. It's just too perilous, clearly, because the FIA don't know their own rules. So through the final chicane, I'm hanging back nicely here. At this stage, the rain was heavy enough, but then I asked my engineer and it said heavy rain was stopping imminently and inters would be the best tyres. Okay, clear. So clearly not a great option as Haas has entered the pit lane. But through the first couple of corners, we are back racing for the final few circumnavigations of the Canadian Grand Prix circuit. And gaseous gremlins is the perfect way to describe this race. At this point as well, Thanasi, who's in P2, there's a McLaren in lead of buck 20. Thanasi, who's in P2, had another drive-through penalty. The game was playing games, as it were, with the drive-through penalties, but all I can say is skill issue. Much like most of my race, 6 seconds worth of penalties at this particular stage. I'd do very well not to get any more. Magico, I wasn't going to overtake at this particular stage because there's just no point. But he makes a little mistake out of the chicane. And I say thank you very much, go round the outside, and now all attention turns to trying to get Wilco, not Ghost. He's made that very clear. So 30 seconds on there, as you can see, we've made a mistake. Because, I have good pace on the wet tyres, but it's only good pace in comparison to inters that are a much better tyre. So realistically, I was driving well, but not very well. Physically, not a problem. Mentally, damaged. Through the sector we go, though. As you can see, there's a big train of cars once again. There's an Alpha Tauri at the head of this. I think it's Pathiman. And that's my engineer at this point telling me, you're a complete pillock. You should have been on the intermediate tyres. Why did you not listen to a word I said? And I used visual evidence. Unfortunately, the visual evidence was lying to me. And that really hurt my feelings. So through the final chicane we go. There is absolutely nothing to see here. Actually, it's Thanasi serving his drive-through. That's the only thing there is to see. Wilco and J-Lane going for moves at the hairpin. J-Lane with a stout defence against the Aston Martin driver. So I say down the inside I go. And that will do very nicely. J-Lane manages to, sort of gift me P9, but the move's not done yet. Mostly because I have more penalties than Wilco. But also because I had to get the move done on ERS as well, and luckily for us, we do. Back in the swing of things then. Through the final chicane we go. J-Lane ahead of us. And can we, with ERS deployment, go down the inside? My God, that is massive overspeed. J-Lane, though, very brave on the brakes. He goes wide into turn 1. I leave him so much space for him to rejoin safely. And Dirk's in the wall, meanwhile, on the penultimate lap. It's from hero to zero from the Williams driver, who, if you watch J-Lane's video, actually had a cracking race. A cracking Canadian cracker. I was going to say Christmas cracker. It was nowhere near Christmas. But we're up into P7 now. Something happened to J-Lane in all of that as well. I don't know what. He can tell me what happened because I genuinely can't remember. Something happened, though. This water bottle was cold. No sweat for me. But through we go. This is the penultimate lap of the race. At this point, Wilco's applying copious amounts of pressure. I have 9 seconds worth of penalties. And, my diffuser has never felt more nervous, and there was absolutely no purchase on the wet tyres. Wilco's diving everywhere and anywhere. I'm somehow defending him for all my life, which is unbelievable. Probably shouldn't have defended him that much. But as we come down the straight, he thought about making a move. I was tempted to let him through, but he said, no, there's no point. Just finish the race. I was like, you know what, fair enough. Buck 20 wins, but it's Milo with no penalties that will win the Canadian Grand Prix. But twisting and turning and pirouetting across the line, it will be P8, which is, well, I've cut my position in half. And that is really fantastic news. However, realistically, it should have been so much more. And it hurts me. Yeah, kudos to Milo, kudos to Terziak, who came out of this weekend. Well, both of them, actually, with the first and the second apiece. I think they were joint on points. I'm pretty sure. Going out of this race. So, fair play to them. You know, great start to the season for them both. Pathiman in the end, because he didn't get penalties. Finishes P3. What a superstar. Gotta love a Pathiman. Magico flew through the gap, overtook 5 cars. Who missed it? If I missed it, I really apologise. I'm very, very sorry. J-Lane said, parked with my Williams teammate, felt he needed a friend. Well, that is very kind of teammates, it must be said. That right there is stupendous solidarity. Quite splendid. And I approve of this. But there we go. That is the crux of things. In Canada, like I say, probably should have been so much more. But unfortunately, it was not to be. There you go. The running order in the end was as follows. Milo, Terziak, Patherman, Buck 20, Stark, Buck 57, Wilco, Not Ghost, me, Zeus, Danasi in 9th, Magico 10th. Magico got 10th. Well done, mate. Absolute scenes. Credit to you. J-Lane in 11th, even though he parked up with his teammate. Jamie Tarquin 12th. Big Sam, Dirk, and Maximus complete the points. Vulcan was the only other one to finish, with Raiden and Guardian smiting themselves out of existence. So there you are. That concludes my Canadian Grand Prix watch-along, and it's only been 45 minutes since the traditional 8 o'clock start time. So you know what? I'm going to treat you all. We are 11:37. I got you making the overtake. No, J-Lane did. Sorry. I completely missed it. My apologies. Race 4 watch along. We're going to watch, we haven't watched Miami yet. So I'm going to watch that because actually, no, I can get both of them because my race wasn't very eventful, to be honest with you. So there's a lot I can skip through, but I can talk to you about my mindset and whatnot going through it. And you can watch my various inputs and whatnot, which would be quite cool, probably. So anywho, that is the Austrian Grand Prix spectacle. We are now going to put some music on. I'm quickly going to transfer over the Miami Grand Prix and the Austrian Grand Prix. Have a quick watch along of both of those, and then I will probably call it a night. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in so far. I hope you're all doing very well indeed. But for now, let's sample the music. And I will see you very soon. Also, look at that sexy set standby screen. Go and follow Magico. You know you want to.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, see the horizon, turn us to thousands, and we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Right, hello everybody. I'm just gonna put this down a tiny bit. Miami and Austria are on the way. I can confirm that. However, my USB stick is being, well, a complete fruitcake. It's taking 5 years to write anything to it from my laptop, which is where the Elgato is plugged into, which is into the Xbox, which I play, which is where I recorded all of my league racing. So that's fun, but it will be on its way very, very soon indeed. So, what to talk about for now? Well, with my creativity skills, here's what we're going to do first. I went outside today. I know, shocking. But while I was outside, I went to a place called Watford. And in Watford, they had a shop called W.H. Smith, which stands for Lewis Hamilton Smith. I don't know what WH stands for. But anyway, in that shop, they had a nice little drink. So I thought, while we are waiting for my USB stick to write things, firstly, listen to this. Oh, I could come an ASMR channel soon. Actually, God, no, I don't like that. But what I'm going to do now, for you all, that spells sweet, is try out, you see that there? Try out Erling Haaland's fluids. So here we go. It's sweet. It's strawberry lemonade. It's basically strawberry lemonade. Oh, it's literally just strawberry lemonade. It's just got Erling Haaland's name on it. Fair enough. It's not... The thing is, with Prime, it's just sweet. And that was my only idea I had for content tonight, in case things went down the pan. So that's done. Strawberry lemonade. It's a decent flavour. If you have a sweet tooth, that's great. And that is all you need to know. What have I just watched? Something you probably didn't think you were going to watch tonight. Right, let's talk about... What should we talk about? Let's talk about Monaco. Leclerc won. Yay! That's good, isn't it? Leclerc won his own race. That's fun. In the Procession Grand Prix. So, there's that. Who was at... Actually, no. Here's a question for you all. Zonico. He's not... Magico is not wrong. It was a pretty big snooze fest. I didn't get to watch it, unfortunately, because I was in a place called Luton at the BBC Radio 1 big weekend watching Coldplay. So that was very fun indeed. Lady Christ. Yeah. Honestly, it was beautiful. You know what? For that, Monaco, I tip my metaphorical hat off to you. But the big question I want to ask is, who was at fault? Who was at fault for the first lap chaotic accident? Was it Sergio Perez? Was it Kevin Magnussen? Or are we zen? Are we well centred? And was it a racing incident? What are your thoughts? A race with only 4 overtakes. Monaco should be scrapped. Yeah, it was maths and tyre talk. Magnussen at fault? Okay. I see where that's coming from. I don't hate it. In fact, I probably agree with it on balance. Magnussen's going for that race, but yeah, Mag at fault. It's a unanimous Magnussen is at fault. Yeah, there's... I personally think Magnussen's at fault. It's got... I mean, maybe Perez should have seen him. But lap 1 up towards Casino Square, Magnussen was, in my opinion, nowhere near alongside enough to constitute any space really being given to him. Maybe people argue, oh, Perez should have had more awareness, but Magnussen's had a track record this season of basically bantering people off the road, and that's proved it again. So he's complaining about how they're going to have to spend, Haas in particular, going to have to spend a lot of money on spare parts when he instigated it. And that's my opinion, and that's the opinion shared by many. So there you go. Even if Perez saw him, why... Oh, quite, exactly. No, it's true. The thing is, at Monaco as well, it's optimistic, and that's putting it nicely. It's optimistic of Magnussen to kind of think he's even should be awarded any space, really. Like I say, his front left was hardly alongside Perez's rear right, so yeah, it's just silly. And now for a more Well, unless Haas uphill is not going to gap a Red Bull, and even with Perez at the wheel. Yeah, exactly. Well, quite exactly. Really, it's if they just stayed in the race, it could have been a race of longevity and strategy. Had they just undercut everybody and then stayed ahead and blocked everyone and possibly scored points. But no, Magnussen ruined the weekend for them both, which I think is just, I don't know. It's optimistic, it's ridiculous, and it's selfish, and that's the best way I could put it in that particular incident. Now for a more unanimous yes as to who was to blame, even though I think that was pretty unanimous anyway. Ocon or Gasly at fault? And there's only one correct answer here. What is Ocon on? He just has a terrible track record with teammates. He has a terrible track record full stop, to be honest with you. In fact, do you know what the thing with Ocon is? He's an enigma. He's the complete opposite of a French person. He doesn't surrender at all. In fact, he doesn't surrender too much. Unbelievable. Can't wait for Doohan to get his drive next race. Yeah, what is happening with that? Is Doohan actually got a chance of driving next race? Is that what's happening here? I know that the team, Bruno Famin, I think it is, the team principal of Alpine was really not happy at all. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see on that one. Could be interesting. They've also got Mick Schumacher. I mean, they should really let Jack Doohan have a go. I mean, there's Mick Schumacher, who's driving for the World Endurance Team in Alpine. Although, I don't know. I think personally he should just stay cooking in WEC because he's been Alpine's fastest driver. Statistically proven. He's been Alpine's fastest driver in the World Endurance Championship, and he genuinely has a career there, in my opinion. They called Doohan straight in for talks. You know what I found out about Bruno Famin, which really confused me at the Emilia-Romagna Pancetta Pizza Pasta Grand Prix di Pirelli, is that how much initially, at the second phase of his interview on Sky Sports, he sounds like Gunther Steiner. That bamboozled me quite a lot. That did confuse me. They want Alpine to be a family team after... Yeah, they do. Esteban Ocon and Otmar Schaffnauer. The two harbingers of everything wrong with that team. Well, I don't know how much Otmar was to blame for Alonso, and he was probably to blame quite a lot because he rested on his laurels, but yeah, that's going to be a fun one. Ocon this is also very true. Ocon is a very selfish driver. Doohan flew back to England to get in the sim to help his team, and deck Ocon in a schnozzer, then flew back to Monaco after a full night. Bloody hell, man's dedicated. Jesus Christ. Yeah, get him in. You know what? Give him a go. Exactly. Give him a go. F1 teams like to play it quite safe, generally speaking. They'll bring someone back who's had experience. No, get someone young in the car. Let them have a go. It's like Liam Lawson last season. AlphaTauri gave him a go. He impressed. Do the same for Jack Doohan. Let them have a chance. Or they can just really throw everything out of the window and just bring in Kimi Antonelli. No, they won't. Speaking of which, I watched the F2. Antonelli hasn't got the greatest pace in the world. I know people are hyping him up to no end. And we also have to remember, he's literally gone straight from Formula 4 into Formula 2. That's how highly he's been rated. And I believe, if memory serves me correctly, he is still ahead of his teammate, a certain Ollie Behrman. Admittedly, he did miss a race weekend, but he's still ahead of him, and he's been relatively consistent so far. So I think he's doing all right, personally. I mean, I know there's a lot of hype around him and whatnot, but I don't know. Mercedes have got to be careful about how they nurture him now, because if they go too much at 1,000,000 miles an hour, it's just gonna mentally destroy him and then ruin his career subsequently as a Formula 1 driver anyway. So be careful, boys. Be careful. Be careful. Tell you what, Lewis Hamilton, though, in other Mercedes news, he's going to be pumping his fist up in the air. He's also put his fist up in another place because Mercedes have been royally screwed. They did not look like a good team. Russell said apparently he could have gone for the win. I have my doubts about that. I don't really think Mercedes were ever in the running for the win this weekend, personally. I know he'll want to dream, but I don't see it. Next season, Lawson, Behrman, Antonelli, and Doohan. Oh, that would be the dream, wouldn't it? That would absolutely be the dream. Tell you what. Let him cook. Let him cook. I don't know, we'll kind of see what happens, because there's still the question of where Carlos Sainz goes. There's still the question of a bunch of drivers. I think Bottas... Yeah, Bottas is a place to go. somehow, somewhere. Apparently Williams have been having talks with him, so he has a place to go. And there's still many, many things that are undecided still in the Formula 1 grid. So that is what we are going to wait and find out about. Let me put this on standby, and I'm going to quickly find out what my USB stick is saying. That's not a phrase I thought I'd say today. My USB stick paused because it's a complete nonce and it turned itself off. So we have to wait a little bit more. Get Porsche out of the McLaren Indy team and in the car, in the Sauber, alongside Hulk. Good idea. I like the sound of that. I think Porsche deserves to have a shot at it as well. Well, Sauber have nurtured him so much not to give him a chance anyway, so they should, really. But, you know, stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. Mazepin drove for Formula 1 team once. I remember those days. They were dark. I didn't like them. Anywho, we will soon be on the conversation of Blackout in Miami and Austria. And the good news is, if you were feeling like a negative Nancy after my first 2 races, which I don't blame you for doing, because that's how I felt. Good news is, you probably won't be feeling that way after watching these next 2 races with me. Admittedly, like I said, they were quite boring, but you will all see in good time as to why that was. So, waiting patiently then for my USB stick to cook, and the reason I'm putting a water bottle against my neck is because it's 1,000,000,000 degrees in this room, and I just need to cool down a little bit more. Flexing my Prime bottles in the background, they're all written backwards. Don't care, really. No. Prime is just okay, and that's my opinion. As a content thing, if you want to try it for the first time on a Twitch live stream when you've got nothing else to do, great. Nice. As like a standalone drink product, in my opinion, a lot of them, well, pretty much all of them, taste relatively the same. The thing is, I have a sweet tooth. If you have a sweet tooth, you will like Prime. That is just my opinion. Oh no. The results plot thickens. Turns out that in the season 15 results in Canada, they had J-Lane ahead of Magico, and it was the other way around, as we all would have seen very recently. J-Lane's has bonus points. I didn't get a fastest lap point for, I think it was... what race? There was a race where I definitely didn't get a fastest lap set of bonus points. Can't remember what it was now. Was it Baku? I think it might have been Baku. Unless someone else took the time off me, it might have been Jamie Tarquin. Can't remember. Yeah, I had to... That don't matter. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I won't tell them. People on YouTube will have to wait and find out exactly what transpired during this season. But exactly, you are quite right, good sir. Yeah, I believe pretty much right about now, big old USB stick should be done. So, I am going to put it on standby and cue the music, and then we are going to have a nice watch-along of 2, mercifully, much better races. boys. It's ready. It is ready. It is ready. We are almost there. I've got the goods. And it's not a data breach for Interpol. I can confirm. What it is the gateway to watching the Miami and Austrian Grand Prix all together. So, let me open this one up. Look at that. That is wonderful. Back with my webcam box. Shout out to Magico. I've shouted him out so much today, but shout out to you. Hi, big boy. Hello, big Wilco. How you doing, my friend? Look at this webcam box. Magico made it. He's a legend. Go and follow him. Here we are. Miami. To contextualize the whole week for you, I had done way too many laps around the Miami Grand Prix track. Before doing this, Miami was one of my weaker tracks, and then quickly turned into one of my stronger tracks because of just how much I sweated. I was 3 thousandths off breaching the 1 minute 25 barrier at this time, which is great if the qualifying session is dry. Unfortunately, it was raining. It was raining in qualifying. So that was a slight spanner in the works, which I wasn't really accounting for. Said the rain was getting lighter. As you can see, it's apparently sunny throughout most of this qualifying session. In about 5 minutes' time, the rain is set to clear, but it's not exactly going to clear quickly. But the main thing is the track will improve. So my setup here, as you can see, I mean, it was a time trial setup, so I'm not particularly afraid. You can have a nice look at my setup names as we scroll down. How about that? There we go. As you can see, it's just a time trial setup. There you go. Tyre pressure's at minimum. 157, 50 diff. I probably should have turned it up by a couple at least, but I didn't. 31, 22 wings. And there you go. I was literally just making sure that it had a setup on. And out on the track we go for qualifying in the wet at the Miami Grand Prix. Still quite wet. And one of the main things I did, not that it was going to make a huge defining difference. I haven't snorted anything, by the way, just in case you're thinking, oh, Karl's on something. No, I'm not. My nose is genuinely itchy. I think I might have hay fever. But back to proceedings. One of the main things I did was change my camera angle. As you can see, I've got a much more aggressive stance. I've got a much wider view on the wheels, so I know exactly where the car is being put at each time. And as you can see, immediately I go into a slide with no ERS on. So that's not great. During this lap, as much as I was brake dragging, which is just the strategy you have to do to warm up the tyres in F123 without getting massive amounts of tyre wear. Can't do that in F124 anymore. You actually have to put some kinetic energy through them, as well as thermal. But I was just sussing out where the grip was, even with no ERS, just pushing on the exits a little bit, just to make sure I could find out what was cooking. As you can see, onto the end of the lap. That's a big snap of oversteer, but hot lap mode, ERS on, and away we go for a first wet lap in Miami in qualifying. Braking at the 100-meter board was a massive mistake, or at least it wouldn't have been had I actually got my braking right. But now just trying to carry the momentum, holding it on about 50% of the throttle. Dirkleton's with the pole position time at the moment. Actually, not a horrendous first set of corners, which I will take. That nose darts into that next corner, again for the right-hander. A little bit conservative, all things considered, going a little bit wide as Pathyman now brings that time down. Big Sam then cuts his time down by 8 tenths. That was a terrible left-hander from me. This whole lap was just a write-off, basically, but you can see we're through the last corner. Oh, I went fastest. Yay, that's great. 1 minute 39.3, which is good. But I put quite a lot of fuel into the car, just to make sure I could get a couple of laps in, get my bearings. I somehow went slower through turn 1, but because I hadn't made the mistake, I could just carry more momentum, get on the power earlier, and now I'm a 10th up on that time. Jamie Tarquin beats my time by 8 thousandths. Grr, shaking my fist and my head. But through these corners, this time I was going to carry more momentum, brake a tiny bit later, make sure I could sweep the car through, get the nose darted in, and what was a 10th up is now half a second up. We are now purple through the first sector. We're 6 tenths up, almost 7 tenths up. My battery is getting really low at this point though, so realistically, if I was going to do another lap, I'd have to recharge and hope I had enough fuel to complete it. Braking at the 100-meter board-ish, I actually broke way too early. I think it was 150 I broke at. That's poor from me, but hugging the inside. Took a little bit too much speed the previous time, but this time keeping it nice and clean. This is where you can make or break your lap. That almost broke it. but we do gain a little bit of time through the left-hander. Probably could afford to carry a bit more speed as well. All good learnings for next time, though. Not a great exit through that corner, but we are 6 tenths up as we head now down this long back straight and towards the hairpin. Braking for the hairpin was a bit of an anomaly. Didn't really know what I was doing, but broke again about 150. That was the wrong place. Needed to brake way later than that. But I missed the apex the first time. Didn't make that mistake this time. It's going to be a nice clean lap through the final 2 corners, courtesy of also the track getting a little bit nicer to drive. It's a 1 minute 38.5. And that was pretty nice. I then did a recharge lap. I then went again, I think. I then went 3 tenths down and decided that was enough of that. And so I'm back in the garage. Back on a new set of inters. I looked at dry tyres foolishly, but I shouldn't have realistically, because what was the point? So anyway, watching some drivers. Out of the pit lane we go. We're going to have time, I think, for 2 laps in this session. Anyway, through the first corners, there were... Right, okay. So I was behind Giraffe at this point, which wasn't a problem. I gained a 10th through the first corner initially. But then, as you can see, there's a slow car on the inside. That's Terziak. A car on the outside that was there as well, which is Thanasi. So that didn't really help my momentum in the grand scheme of things. But we're just going to try and mosey our way through this first section. And with Giraffe ahead of me, it's not going to go well. Because I think, well... I thought he was on a lap, but he got out of the way very, very late. And in all the confusion, well, it's not gone great. And actually, well, somehow we do gain time. We go up to a 1 minute 38.4. This would be my last lap. I was half a second up through the first sector. It's looking great so far, isn't it? I know. We're going for we're going for a hat-trick of pole positions in 3 races. We are going to be the qualifying queen. And that was the plan. But then, this is the section that makes or breaks your lap, breaking way later into this one. Hitting the apex properly this time. Guardian keeps well out of the way, and he's on softs for some reason. I lost 3 tenths through that corner. Doesn't really matter. We now come to this section here, take lots of curb in, and that was too much. That was too much. And as a result, that is all she wrote for my qualifying session. And I'm just going to scroll forwards to about here, because I bet you're wondering what time I would have done had I just completed the lap as it was. It wouldn't have been good enough for pole position, I can tell you that much. But actually, oh no, I think it was. No, it wasn't. I was 1,000th off Thanasi had I just completed the lap. So it didn't really matter either way. But, in better news for me, Thanasi had a grid penalty. He had 5 places for something or other, ignoring yellow flags, impeding, I can't remember. But he had a 5-place penalty nonetheless. It was now up to Terziak to try and do something about it, and he only improved by a 10th, so he couldn't do that. As a result, it's not 3 pole positions in a row. The championship winner of the past 2 seasons of Blackout is back in black. And we got Milo tractioning his way out of the final corners, and, well, that was the end of that, apparently. Didn't want it anyway. So this is the qualifying order. We had Thanasi, Terziak, myself, Jamie Tarquin, you prick. Jamie Tarquin, Slam, Buck 20, Stark, Vulcan, Buck 57, Pathyman, Milo, Magico, Dirkleton, Big Sam, and then there was some other people. Giraffe, Raiden, for God's sake. There was Giraffe, Raiden, and a couple of others. There was Guardian in there as well. Right, race day, mercifully, was dry. Fantastic. My plan for this is always going to be, because it's a 35% race, I was always going to start on the mediums and go on to the softs at the end. Main thing was just following what my teammate said to me, and that is... You don't need to break records every race. Just go out there, have fun, drive fast, but not too fast. And so I would follow that in this race. So, with our race about to start, I thought about changing the tyre pressures. In hindsight, probably should have put the fronts up at least a tiny bit, but I didn't. As a result, we are second on the grid with Terziak on pole position for the Miami Grand Prix, the 3rd race. Will it be 3rd time lucky for myself in Blackout? We're about to find out. 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go. And it's a decent start up against Terziak, but Jamie Tarquin with a great start on the soft. We hold the inside line though. Terziak a bit wide into the first corner, and we feel nice and connected with the car. And it's all proceedings and all systems go here at Miami. There's been a bit of a mix-up between Buck 20 and someone else. As a result, us top 3 have escaped into the distance. And in the dry, I'm feeling keyed in already. Taking a narrow line. Not entirely sure why. But we do manage to, despite that very, very suboptimal line. Keep within range of Terziak, but Jamie Tarquin with a good exit himself. We're deploying battery. Terziak not actually burning anything currently. You can see we gained 3 temps just by burning battery and getting in the slipstream. So as a result, we're just watching what he's doing, assessing the situation. As we now head through the Mickey Mouse section. Looks nothing like Mickey Mouse. No idea why it's called that. Really stupid, but through this section of corners, this is where I gain the most time. I'm practically pushing Terziak through that section. I was also... well, there's a little bit of a code brown because I thought I was going to genuinely get damage. But I didn't. So, ERS open. I'm not going to waste any time being held behind Terziak. Through we go into P1. We chip over to the right slightly. Contact made. And actually, I squeezed too much too early, and that's my fault. I do apologise. Terziak brave on the brakes. Wheel banging through the hairpin. But we are through into P1. And now, we've got a score to settle with ourselves. We're up into the lead. We've got 2 very hungry soft tyre runners behind us. We just have to prove what we can do. Because I feel like I said, there was a score to settle after the first couple of races. And so now I've got the bit between my teeth. And I've got to grit down and eat that horse. Through this section then. Flick down into 6th, into 5th. My brake bias has been flicked down to 56 as well, just for a little bit more bite on the rear brakes. Using that curve to perfection. Into 4th for a little bit more traction. And a decent exit means we are 6 tenths ahead with a purple Sector 1 to boot. In fact, it's the Ferrari of Jamie Tarquin that's looking much more menacing than Terziak is towards me, although I think he's burning at this stage, burning his battery. I've burned down to 37, but there's no point in fighting. If he wants to burn, be my guest. I'm just going to try and hook up this section as much as I can, pretty much like I did last time. So through this section to the outside, use the curb. 1, 2, that's a decent set of curbs, and into 3 we go, up to 6 tenths worth of a gap. Make that 7 tenths. Nicely done. Not too bad at all. Keeping at 40%. Just watching the top left, I'm watching the gap between myself and Terziak all the way through this, and he's not catching up enough. So we have done enough to retain the lead into the final hairpin on lap number 2, braking slightly earlier, but then on the exits we are absolutely masterful, gaining just over, well, pretty much 2 tenths on the exit of that corner, and into the 1 minute 29.9 times we go. That was absolutely lovely stuff there, clipping the apex, and now we can just set about eating up the miles, although the 2 behind us will, well, probably want to hook up a DRS train as much as they can just to get away from Buck 20, who is also on the same strategy, and away from Thanasi, who, well, from the 2 seasons previous, I know just how quick he is. Just the rear brakes slide a little bit through there. We are out of DRS range, though. So Terziak not going to get the benefit of the rear wing flapping about. Instead, Jamie Tarquin is going to be the one going for the offensive. Which in Miami, they don't have any laws anyway, so they don't care. Into this section once again. I'll say it and I'll say it again. Very smooth. Thank you, Mr. Teammate. I do appreciate that very much. But this is my strongest section of the track by far. Just got to have the confidence. 1, 2, and that sets me up very nicely for this last one. Hook the apex up, bit too slow through there, if anything. Actually, 7.5 tenths in the end. Could have gone a lot better, but once I had the confidence to just not care about track limits, it went a lot better. Terziak with DRS then, within half a second, but nowhere near close enough to making the move. Braking at the 100-meter board, and we are keyed in on the brakes. He actually goes a bit wide, though, into that corner. We gain 3 tenths alone just from him making a mistake, and another tenth to boot from him making... well, from him trying to gather up his own error. So that's great news for us, and on we go. Our battery consumption isn't great. We're on 27%. We've got to really... well, something I worked on during the season is when not to use battery effectively. Using a little bit there, though, actually, on the exit of that section, because we know we have the speeds through this fast flowy section, should we hook it all up. Gap up to 9 tenths, make that almost a second. We go slightly wide, though. Just not hooking up that first sector particularly well, and it's keeping Terziak and Jamie Tarquin in the hunt. And that's not really what I wanted to do. I just wanted to have a nice, well, boring race out of the front, to be honest with you, but it's just about keeping composed at this stage. My fuel load, by the way, is on about plus half a lap, so yeah, nothing really to report there. We talked about fuel loads and tyre pressures, me and Magico. That's what we mainly talked about in these first races. About the British Grand Prix weekend, that's when we properly... actually, no, we talked about it in Hungary. But race setups-wise, after the British Grand Prix was where I started properly looking into race setups, because I just needed a bit more stability. And I managed to work it out, which is good news. That's a better section from me, almost a second ahead. Almost no DRS for the Toro Rosso driver behind me. And it feels like that because at this point we were taking him to school, but he's still hanging in DRS. So, unfortunately, we might need to think about re-education as we head out of lap number 4 into now a quarter of the way through this race at the Miami Grand Prix. Our pace pretty consistent, a 1 minute 30.6 for the previous couple of laps. Now 1 minute 30.8. Just letting the momentum carry ourselves through these first few corners. A bit tentative on full throttle, but once we get there, hugging the inside, shortest line of attack. And now, the main thing about that left-hander is just turning a bit earlier than you think. You want to use the curb. The wings actually were a little bit too far apart. I should have, realistically, I should have put them a slightly closer gap together. That is the first section hooked up, though. That is no DRS for Terziak, which is great news. But Jamie Tarquin, he himself also doesn't have DRS. So now we have another opportunity. Another opportunity to make sure that we can just stay ahead of Terziak. He gains 3 temps, though, in that straight. So it's got to be the Mickey Mouse section of our lives. Oh, Hungary was race setups. My apologies. Hungary was race setups. Okay, that's good to know. I'll keep that in mind then. That is the track limit succeeding, I will admit. However, I was happy to use one of my tokens there because we gained 4 temps. Make that a ridiculous amount of time. Terziak with another mistake. What was 6 temps? I gained a second through that section alone. Granted, there was a warning in there. But even so, that puts me at a very, an extremely secure position. A sumptuous Sector 2, or ending of Sector 2, should I say, has put us right in the running for potential victory in this race. And now we can just get to work, really. As you can see, what then was, whatever it was, 2-second gap, now turns to a 2.7-second gap through this section. And again, we are just going to talk about this section. So you can see, watch that gap. It's 2.8 currently. We're going to watch it just start to climb up a little bit, sliding through that section. But you know what? I'm not too displeased about that because we're already 3 seconds ahead. 2.9. Even with a bad Mickey Mouse section, we gain 3 temps. So I'll take that. Let's go again to the Mickey Mouse section. I gained a second throughout the starting point of this lap. I have no idea how. Just on the exit of the hairpin, Terziak, or the soft tyre subtraction was absolutely, boy, it was obliterated at that particular situation. And our exquisite escapade of the Miami track just continues. Like I said, we're going to go to the Mickey Mouse section. I gained 7 temps through the first sector, which is incredible. At this point, Thanassi's got ahead of Buck 20, although the McLaren man hanging on to the coattails of DRS, and Jamie Tarquin is going on the attack. That's perfect for me. The more those two fight, the better it is, because I can just get into a rhythm and focus. Although when I'm doing that, probably not. Really, at that point, if you make the mistake of just sliding about and taking too much speed, how about this? Just brake earlier. Brake earlier and focus on carrying momentum mid-apex, because you'll gain a lot more time doing that than trying to overcompensate at the initial part of the corner. There you go, that's my advice for the day. Again, we go to the Michael Rat section to kind of estimate proceedings, and you can probably guess how this race is going to go at this point. Through this section again, and that is much, much more like it. 5.5 seconds to start out with. I'm watching that gap all the while. What was at the start of the Mickey Mouse section now is 5.9. Make that 6.0. Make that 6.1. Make that 6.15. I've gained 6.5 temps through just those couple of corners, pretty much. And that's why I attribute it down to. So the bit where things get interesting now is at the end of the previous lap, Jamie Tarquin came into the pits, as did Thanassi. I think at this point, Thanassi actually undercut Jamie Tarquin. So credit where credit's due, he absolutely smashed that out of the park. We're still going, though, and again, through Michael Rat's favourite section, we are going to watch it again, and I'm going to watch that gap all the while. Straight line speed was about the same as Terziak's, not burning any ERS at all. My inputs were feeling crisp, I was feeling crisp, confidence was at an all-time high, and it just got better and better for me. Again, now I've made the learnings of forget the initial speed into the corner, think about the mid-apex, and just go from there. Even when going wide at that particular corner, Terziak hangs on well through the first section, but those 3 corners there was 7.8, now 8.0, and it stays at 8.0 pretty much. Again, 2 tenths gained just through that section. Confidence is gleaming. And that skipped forward quite weirdly. I don't think I was the only one that saw that. At least I'm pretty sure I wasn't. Into the left-hander. Never mind, it didn't skip forward. What am I talking about? Fast as boy! Yeah, no, this race I was really keyed in. This was my first properly good race. Imola should have been my first properly good race, but I messed it up for myself. This was where I really kind of started to properly cook in terms of my consistency, which helped a lot. So we carry on through. At this point, as you can see, Terziak and Jamie... Well, Jamie's right there. Thanasi hasn't undercut him, in fact, my apologies, but he's really ramped up to the back of that particular battle. Terziak is behind this whole thing, just a couple of laps undercut, as you can see. He's just into that left-hander. They're already halfway through the right, but we know how good newer tyres are, which is something I'll probably say quite a lot of as we carry on through. But they're into the pit lane, and onto lap number 11 at this particular point. I say box at the end of this lap. I'm just watching the gap between myself and Jamie Tarquin. I think the pit delta was about 21 seconds. So I didn't really want to chance things at this stage. So into the pits I go. End of lap number 11. I think probably end of lap number 10 was when I was originally going to go for, but I extended for one lap just so we had a bit more longevity on the soft tyres. Into the pits. It's a purple turn in. Clutch paddle all the way down, and out we go. Straight away, clean as you like, pit stop. There's Jamie Tarquin and co. There I am circling them vigorously with my mouse. We still have the fastest lap of the race at this stage, which is quite nice, considering that was at the beginning of the race, so we'll take it. And out of the pits we go on the softs, and we are ahead of Jamie Tarquin and Thanasi. Perhaps even could have stayed out for one more lap, but I didn't want to risk it particularly. Keep the track position, avoid the battling, and carry on my merry way. Magico pits as well. There he is. That sexy man. Honestly. And immediately you'll see, I feel like I have a ridiculous amount of grip. If you watch Jay Lane's particular YouTube video on this as well, you will know that the next Mickey Mouse section is probably the best section of driving at this point I'd ever done. Watch the gap. This is 1.6 seconds. This is courtesy of not only new tyres, but also the fact I was just... I don't know. I wasn't even... properly I was concentrating so much I just was zoned out from everything else. But through this section I've gained 5 tenths just through those couple of corners. Now into this section, 1, 2, what was a second 0.6 is now 8 tenths, 6 tenths, exit of the corner, 5 tenths, nearly 4 tenths, thank you very much, DRS wide open, good night Irene. Buck 20 was probably going to come into the pits anyway, I'll be honest with you, but I just wanted to get past anyway, because I don't know, my ego wanted to be satisfied. I don't have any other reasoning other than that. Braking nicely into the final corner. A little bit wide, but no problems at all. And away we go. Buck 20 does indeed come into the pits. But now we get to watch my fastest lap of the entire race, which I'm going to talk through with you. Braking after the 100-metre board, about 80 metres away from the corner. And then just watching my throttle inputs let off a little bit on that curb, but back onto full throttle with the new tyres. Grip at an all-time high as soon as I'm off there. Keep the full throttle, lifting off. I don't even know, did I even brake for that particular section? I don't even know I did. Did I brake? I don't even know. Nope, I didn't even brake. I lifted off into that corner. Fantastic. Keeping the minimum speed as much as possible. Braking to dart the nose in. It darts in beautifully. 4th gear to gain the traction. Deploying whatever's left of my battery, which is not a lot, I'll be honest with you. But it is a purple Sector 1. Down the straight we go then. Thanasi and Jamie Tarquin going to have a fun little battle. Terziak has, what, 3.5 seconds to garner to get into that battle? The podium places battle? It's going to be tough for him. But braking nicely into there. Brake bias now at 57. Hugging the inside. Straighten the wheel as much as possible. Carry the momentum. When that curb starts, flick it in. 1 curb. 2 curb. Dart the car out. Flick it in. Hit the apex. As soon as you straighten it up, plant on the power. And now you propel yourself down a preposterously long straight towards the hairpin. Gap now at 6 seconds. We are loving life at Miami. 57 still on the brake bias. Watch the 100-metre board. There it is. Slam on the anchors. And it is all systems go. This ship is sailing meteorically fast. The two behind us are battling away furiously. But it is a 1 minute 29.1. Thank you very much indeed. That is the fastest lap of the race. And I bet you're wondering, did anything happen for me throughout the rest of this race? No, it really didn't. As we head on through the laps now, We're on to lap number 15. Gap now 8.3 seconds to Thanasi. Lap number 15 we carry on. At the end of it, that's 10 seconds to Thanasi. And, I mean, I didn't really need to do anything this race. I proved everything I'd needed to prove. Gap at 12.7 seconds. The mediums are coming to their own at this particular point. But Thanasi with a 3 seconds penalty. And, well, out of this section we go. Was hardly even pushing at this point. Didn't need to push. I think I was on 2 warnings at this point as well. So, realistically, pushing more than I needed to was not a great idea.
1 lap of fuel left now. The tank's pretty much empty.
But finally, third time lucky. Third time lucky. They say start as you mean to go on in a lot of things. I'm certainly glad I haven't, because I would have been in the wall crying and with egg on my face. But we played the game to perfection. Our strategy was immaculate. Our pace was phenomenal. And out of the final corners, ladies and gentlemen, that will be our first win of the Blackout season. Season 15. We have announced ourselves onto the racing scene finally. Qualifying pace was never an issue. But we have laid down the huge marker. When all is said and done, we have delivered the goods. We have finally delivered the goods. It's Terziak in the end. He made a last lap move on Jamie Tarquin. He did make up that 3.5 seconds gap in however many laps, because those two, Thanasi and Jamie, were battling so hard. It just invited him into the battle. And also courtesy of the fact that Jamie's tyres were quite old. Magico says clap. I'll give myself a clap too. And not like that. Get your head out of the sand. So, that will pretty much be your race order. Vulcan had a blinder of a race as well. As you can see, I go down to Giraffe because J-Lane looks like he's on the move. And he actually goes round the outside of Raiden into the stadium section. That is an absolutely phenomenal move, it must be said. So, into the 14th place, that's 2 points on his wagon. But then out of the corner, he slams it into barrier, which is not very ideal. Can he keep ahead of his teammate, though? That is the ultimate question. Vulcan will finish 9th in the end. My teammate, Magico, a clap for you, sir. A top 10 finish once again. Because he will come home to finish 10th. Excuse me. Big Sam with a penalty, but ahead of Guardian by enough of a margin. So that won't really matter too much. J-Lane a little bit wide through the hairpin, getting a bit squirmy. But so was Dirkleton, so it doesn't matter. J-Lane will pick up the final point, and Dirkleton with a nice pirouette. It's only a 5 out of 10 from the crowd because he only completed half of it. Milo will finish 18th. He got caught up in a lap 1 accident and never recovered. And no safety cars could help him out, which is quite unfortunate. So there you go. That is it. My first win of the Blackout season then. Finally, we got our name onto the board. And we were looking to do exactly the same at the Austrian Grand Prix. Speaking of which, here it is. We're getting straight into the qualifying session. A little bit cloudy. Cloudier than I would have expected anyway. But Magico on a lap there, as you can see. He's currently 5th place. What a superstar. Giraffe with the 1 minute 43.2. Driving a bulldozer around Spielberg. But out of the garage we go. And we're not going to show you the prep lap. I invalidated my laps. That's not ideal. But when I eventually did get going, this is a lap of the Austrian Grand Prix. My Elgato's doing weird things as well at this stage, so I apologise for that. But through the first corner we go in 4th gear. A little bit of a wash of understeer there. Barrier and me are married at this point. Congratulations to you both. He's normally not very receptive of relationships, but I'm glad he's receptive of you, J-Lane. Magico says Austria was awful for me. I remember watching an Austria race quite a lot. Yeah, no, it wasn't great. Start going for some lawn mowing on the right-hand side. You'll love to see it. Brake bias up to 56. Under the Pirelli board, brake as late as you dare. Actually braking very well, and could have had more confidence on traction, admittedly. Maybe should have kept up a gear. Used the outside just after the curb as well, because there is grip there, despite everything. Got a lot of time left on the table, but a purple Sector 2 out of this corner. Again, more speed to carry. There's plenty more speed to find on this lap. We're not changing the differential to 50, which I find relatively surprising. Down to 6th. Again, so much more speed to be found. Cutting that curb nicely. So much more speed everywhere to be found, but across the line, it's a 1 minute 4.0 provisional pole position. Thank you very much. My time trial time at this point was a 1 minute 3.2, so there's apparently 8 attempts for me to find. So obviously, that's not very good. But we still had a lap to go. And that's the gaps we're on currently. Terziak actually got into the 1 minute 3s at this stage. His sector 2 and 3 cooked. My sector 1 was cooking, though. So, we had to go out and do another lap. And so, here we go. I think, for my final lap of Austria qualifying. Hot lap mode engaged. Game face on. Into turn number 1, someone got rid of the braking markers. I hate them for it. As a result, my turn 1 was absolutely awful. DRS wide open. I'd hope they hadn't done the same into the hairpin. A 10th down, I actually initially thought about aborting my lap, but I thought, you know what, let's keep it going. I think there's time to find here, and in the hairpin, there was a bit of time to find. We just about equalised for a brief moment, but it's sector 2 and 3 where we can really cook. There's a lot of time left on the table, and so we are going to use that time. Underneath the Pirelli board, carrying much more speed, keeping it in 4th this time, and actually not gaining that much time. So that is not ideal. So now we have to... Oh, actually, I did abort my lap. Oh, gosh. I did do that. Never mind. Looking for a slipstream from a McLaren, clearly. And it's crunch time now. I can't exactly redo it, and my turn 1 has been absolutely dire. So through... into the hairpin we go. We need to find something here. And luckily, on the exit, we do find a little bit. We're just 300ths off of my previous best. Which, through Sector 1 and that hairpin, was actually pretty damn good. So, underneath the Pirelli sponsorship we go. Braking a little bit later. A little bit more confidence on power. And now we are beginning to gain the time. That is what we need to do. Through this corner, there's a car off into Narnia. It's a Mercedes. No idea what's happened there. But we carry a bit more speed through there. We plan to do the same through this corner, and we do. We gain hundredths, but that's all we need around Austria, where the margins are so fine. And now we have 2 corners to go to cement our position. We do the second to last corner a little bit better. We carry the speed through the final corner. It's 2 tenths up, slipstream from Buck, and that will be a 1 minute 3.877. Thank you very much. That is my 3rd pole position out of 4. For this season. Terziak's out of it. He can't improve. We do get pole position by about a 1/10 of a second. Realistically, probably should have done a bit better than that. But I'm in pole, so I don't know why I'm complaining. We will take that. Your running order, then, is as follows. It's me from Terziak, from Jamie Tarquin, from the Bucks, 4th and 5th. Buck 20. With the supremacy. Milo in 6th. Stark in 7th. Slam 8th. Pathyman 9th. J-Lane rounding out the top 10. And then we have Maximus, Giraffe, Dirkleton, Vulcan, Big Sam, Magico, Raiden, Guardian, and Zeus. Thanassi got 19th. Oh dear. It's the last first challenge for him. Amazed at your pace, waifu. Thank you, husband. I do my best. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it's race time. Yes, it is, and it was always going to be a one-stop for me. Medium hards, medium soft, I didn't really know at this point. All I knew was that I was going to be starting on the mediums in any case. So I've gone a lap over on fuel. Admittedly, I kind of ignored my own instructions on fuel at Austria because I don't think the fuel burn was that bad. But anywho, waiting at the lights. The tension so thick. Well, tension so thin you could pretty much cut it with a knife. But 5 red lights in Austria. Lights out, and away we go, and it is a pretty even start with Terziak off the line, deploying a bit of ERS. He ducks into our slipstream, though. The marker boards still don't exist, but through turn 1, there's a massive issue for Jamie Tarquin, a massive issue behind us as a whole, and me and Terziak have been given a gift. This was the best gift we could have possibly hoped for, and at this point, I just said, well, they're 2 seconds behind. I'm happy to just tow you along. Let's just get away. And he was like, yeah, sure, but then I almost pulled out a second in just a hairpin, so... Well, I almost scuppered my own plan before it even began. But 3 seconds is the gap between myself and Buck 20 in P3. Using the outside curb there. Didn't do that in qualifying before. It's not a criticism, I just find it quite interesting. Very wide into there, though. Again, just getting used to the car on heavy fuel. That's a better corner through there, though. Used a bit of ERS on the exit. Gap sitting at about 8 tenths. That's exactly where we want it to be, so it's not really an issue. And as you can probably imagine, that was an interesting jump there. El Gato, you want to explain yourself? But anyway, you can imagine what happens next. We're going to go on to lap number 3. Terziak's got the fastest lap of the race because he has DRS. My lap time's a 1 minute 6.9 at this stage. We've got him in DRS. Gap to Buck 20 is 4.5 seconds. As it stands, we're going to go on a minute, and he's still got DRS, gap now 5.3 seconds, and then it was 6.1. Someone else, I think it was Jamie Tarquin that's fastest lap because he had to pit because he had front wing damage on lap 1. But he still has DRS, does Terziak, the Flying Scotsman, keeping us honest. So credit where credit is due. That man has got pace. I won't lie to you. And he's also got consistency. At this point in the season, he's finished first or second at every race. And he's looking to continue that streak very quickly indeed. Lap number 5, end of lap number 5. Gap is, well, lap number 6. The gap is still under a second. Still has DRS as we head on to lap number 7. It's this corner here, though. Turn number 3, or turn 2, technically, is where I gained so much time. Great entry into the apex. Traction is excellent. I'm a second ahead by the time we get out of the corner, but luckily for Mr. Terziak, he has DRS. And so he will use that to good effect and just make sure he keeps within range, just about. Oh. It didn't last long, I'm very sorry. He doesn't have DRS at the end of lap number 7. On to lap number 8. I'm within 3 tenths of my pace consistently on pretty much every single lap. Both of us using our pace very, very well indeed. But lap number 8 came along and, well, I escaped. I started to escape. And like I say, courtesy of, well, it's owing to this corner mostly. Into it we go. A little bit of a slide into it. Controlling it wonderfully, though. What was 1.3 now turns to 1.7, 1.8 seconds. We absolutely flew through there. Now at the end of, well, into that corner again, 2.5, sliding through, traction, nearly 2.6. Going forwards again, it's now 3.1. And as you can imagine, this carried on for quite a while. At this point also, I just want to allude to the fact that Thanasi, who started last, is now in this train. He's motoring on at quite a rate of knots. There's one thing I've learned from this season, it's that Thanasi gives me a very high blood pressure. And I don't appreciate that. So, on we go. As you can see, Buck 20's got a 3-second penalty at this point into the hairpin. Gap now 4 seconds. Literally, it's all owing to that corner. The rotation through there and my confidence through there was excellent. As my teammates got a yellow flag, something happened. I can't remember what happened, but it's a disaster for Magico. And my husband is left with a sinking feeling, which is just like our honeymoon. I put a hole in the speedboat. I do apologise, so it took a bit of a literal meaning to that one. Sorry. Magico span out. That's horrible. I know your pain. Imola was pain. I never wanted to do that again. Unfortunately, it would happen again at some point, though. We carry on. 5.3 at the end of lap number 12. On to lap number 13. At this stage, I'm just watching. The fuel has stayed even the entire race, no matter how hard I pushed. So realistically, could have brought that down to pretty much on target. I never like to do that just in case I end up overestimating proceedings in one way or another, if you see what I mean. But just keeping things honest, checking brake bias all the time, making sure fuel's being good, and just making sure I keep consistent. In the wise words of my husband, you don't need to go for records every race, and I wasn't. Just remain consistent, and through that last corner in particular, consistency was key. Gaining temps upon temps. And as we carry on through, Patherman now up into P5, Giraffe's now up into P5, everyone else pitting behind us. Stark and Milo still haven't, but Terziak staying out here. And at this point, I could have actually gone onto the hard tyres and gone to the end of the race, no problem at all. But I was keeping an eye on Terziak in terms of what his strategy was, because I wasn't sure whether he was going to go onto the soft tyres. So I was basically keeping an eye on my tyre wear and keeping as consistent at being as smooth as possible, despite sliding into this corner every time, which we'll ignore. We're just keeping an eye on this all the time. Hole in the speedboat wing. Oh, shut up, you. Underneath the Pirelli badge we go. Once again, gap nearly at 9 seconds to Terziak. We carry on through 20 seconds now between us and P3, which is Milo. Buck 20 pitted early. I think Thanasi pitted early as well onto the hard tyres. So that was good. Basically, the ball was in our court in terms of when to pit. Time's now in the 1 minute 8. That's how much the tyres had just dropped off a cliff. But we kept going. I was not going to be threatened by a soft tyre charge at the end of the race, even though the gap is at 10 seconds. I wasn't going to let that happen. So we carry on, lap number 20. At this point, still, Milo's pit, Buck 20 is 32 seconds behind. Just keeping an eye on that gap at this particular stage. Tyres at 62% on the rear left. That's the one to watch. But we're keeping our consistency, traction, we're just modulating it all the time. Came back and seen Giraffe in 5th and thought I'd missed a miracle. You know what? You were almost not wrong, but I think that's him coming into the pits there, so there you go. Carrying on through then. Lap number 21. There's Magico in the pit lane. I give a cheeky wave to my husband. Not as cheeky as the speedboat on our honeymoon. And out of this first corner we go. Gap at 11.7 seconds. Terziak still hasn't pit. Kind of pushing me into puncher territory. That's not very cool. Still hasn't pit at the end of lap number 21. We've lapped... Who else? No, we haven't lapped anyone else. It's just Magico at the moment. But I was getting closer and closer to the Haas car the whole while. Terziak still hasn't pit onto lap number 23. We're going on to soft tyres now regardless. I think there was no doubt about that whatsoever. Terziak still not having pitted at this particular stage. What's the hotkey for this so I don't have to get the bar up? Control right. Ah, there we go. That'll do it. We're going to box on lap number 23 regardless, actually. Apparently there was damage. We just, at this point, the only reason I did that was because we just clipped onto the 75% mark. And I was not going to fall foul to puncher territory. Maybe Terziak might have wanted to, but I certainly wasn't. So into the bits we go as late as we can on the brakes, and that was judged pretty perfectly, it must be said. No punchers for us, even though apparently we had damage. Maximus has joined again. No idea what's happened. Into the pits. It's a perfect stop. Out of the box we go. New softs on our wagon, and Terziak will, for the first time this race, assume the lead. And J-Lane's just set the fastest lap of the race, meanwhile, in all of that fun. So fair play. Credit where credit is due. He has cooked up. We had lap J... I think we had lap J-Lane at this stage as well, actually. So my apologies, Magico. You're not the only one that was lapped at that stage. J-Lane was cooked as well in that instance. 4.2 seconds to gap to Terziak. And softs immediately. I mean, I saw then just how much grip they had. It was ridiculous. The turn-in was sumptuous. The grip was sublime. And Big Sam is still shatting himself at the thought of Giraffe being P5. I think Giraffe did quite well this race, though, so don't worry too much about things. Terziak, I can confirm, did come into the pits at the end of that lap. And so we went on a fastest lap run. Through turn number 1 then, using ERS on the exit of the corner. I'm trying to get within a second of J-Lane just to get some DRS, but I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. Yeah, no, we were nowhere near. As much as I wish we were trying to get DRS off the Williams car, but we get a great hairpin through there. My goodness me, that was quite something. But there we go. Buck 20 did undercut Terziak. Had he not had a 3-second penalty, it could have been quite interesting. At least briefly, but new tyres. I mean, new tyres just cook on this game. It's ridiculous. Slipstreaming J-Lane then. The blue flag's waving furiously. Get out the way! But he does get out of the way. J-Lane, ever the gentleman in these Blackout Gaming Racing League races. And so through we go. Currently 8 tenths up on my lap time. 9 tenths up. Just the last 2 corners to get through. Actually a bit wide through that second to last one. Carrying the speed through the last corner. A decent lap, all things considered. ERS to the line. It's a 1 minute 5.5, which is pretty cool, actually. But unfortunately for us, it didn't last long. It didn't last long. Even though we got 18 seconds to Terziak, which is just ridiculous. He decided to go for a big push. I can't remember if it was on this lap or the next lap because he would have got DRS. But I think it might... Oh, no. Oh, no, he did get DRS at the start of this lap. It might have been this lap he got fastest lap. Can't remember. No, he didn't. Oh, he got DRS at the beginning of this lap. That's why he cooked so much. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, he got fastest lap. There you go. 1 minute 5.3, courtesy of the DRS from Buck 20. But, I mean, I don't know what else you want me to tell you, really, other than there was issues up ahead for Magico. I caught up to him, and then something happened to him. I promise you... Actually, was this something that happened to him? No, he just got out. He's just a gentleman. He got out of the way. I think something else happened to him, though. Yeah. Absolutely gutted. I mean, in terms of my race, though, it's just, yeah, I didn't need to do anything else. Safety cars weren't a possibility. We got past that mark pretty quickly. Gap to Terziak now 20 seconds, and we head on to the last lap of the race. The last lap, processing through the mighty mountains of monumental Spielberg. Tyres at 50% at this particular stage. I think going mediums to softs was pretty much everything I needed to do. Thanasi has got up to P3 at this point as well. What a guy. Like, genuinely, what a guy. Started at the back of the grid. Who knows what could have happened had he qualified well. Only time will tell. But I'm sure he'll get his chance soon, I can tell you that much. Underneath the Pirelli sponsorship, now the graphic comes up to tell me that I've got 50% on the rear left tyre. But I don't care. I do not care. Our race pace has cooked all the way through ever since we broke DRS. We managed to pull Terziak away from the battles behind, and we've been in races of our own, but we have been in a completely different galaxy compared to the rest of the field this weekend. It's been almost the perfect weekend. Pole position, led almost every lap, through the final corner. It's going to be 2 out of 2, weaving across the line. The adulation of Austria rises to acclaim the Alpine team. P1 in Spielberg belongs to us. 23 seconds will be the margin in the end, and as Magico rightly says, dominance. Absolute dominance. In the words of Big Sam, and I quote, "That's disgusting." And you know what? It was quite disgusting, so I do apologise. I would endeavour, in theory, never to do that again. But I can't promise anything. Buck 20 will come through the final corners again. Had he not had those track limit penalties, who knows where he could have finished. But he did have those track limit penalties, so we will never know. Across the line he goes. He'll claim P3 on the track, but Thanasi and Milo will get ahead. Buck 20, though, a P5. It's a solid constructors result for the McLaren team. Terziak will remain after this round of the championship at the top by quite some margin. But we've thrusted ourselves forwards significantly. Yeah, it was genuinely a gigantically good weekend from us. Or a gigantically good Monday. A marvellous Monday in the Blackout Racing League. P1, top step, dominance asserted across Miami and Austria. Driver of the day obviously has to go to Thanasi. Started at the back, ended up P3. Can't really ask for much more than that on a driver of the day basis. But there we go. Thought I'd show you the podium cutscene as well, because I don't think I showed you the previous one. Britain, Scotland and Greece adorn the podium. Cross-border relations have never been better. It's a thumbs up from us. And really, we should be jumping for joy. It's 2 from 2. Although, the celebration tells you all you need to know. The coolest head in cross-continental proceedings. Across the USA and Europe, we begin our strides towards, in theory, the top of the championship. So, let's run you through the whole race order then. I'm just soaking it in at this point. My podium pass didn't get up another level, so that's my day ruined. But onto the race results, Carl, please. Race results. Race results. There we go. Myself on top. Clean shaven. Aerodynamically beautiful. And I changed my avatar. I think I changed my driver avatar, whatever it is. Excuse me. Eventually to Giga Chad. Because Sigma. Terziak, though, P2. Does get the extra 3 points for fastest lap, though. Will garner 27 points. So the gain on him is not as much as it otherwise would have been, although I did gain 9 points on him at Miami. So, the wheels are in motion. The pieces are in place. The jigsaw is slowly being put together. In the grand scheme of things, I'm navigating the own labyrinth of my own composure. And it took me a couple of races, but I am actually managing to do it now, which is the crucial thing. Thanasi in P3, Milo 4th, McLaren are 4th and 5th. Milo's the head of those two, though, in that inter-team exchange. Stark in 6th, Pathiman 7th, Guardian 8th. With the Alfa Romeos of Giraffe and Big Sam 9th and 10th. I knew they did well. I just couldn't remember where they finished. So fair play to you both. Buck 57 in 11th, Vulcan in 12th, Dirkleton in 13th, Maximus 14th. Waiting to see who got 15th. The answer is it was Slam in the end, because Jamie Tarquin had penalties. I think he slowed down at the end as well. Don't really know why. But there you go. Jamie Tarquin, Raiden, Magico. Just didn't work out for him this race at all. Spins McGee and all the rest. And J-Lane, well, Magico, your race was bad, but it could have been worse. That's all I will say. J-Lane had a terrible time at Austria. Ended up 19th, albeit with a 1 minute 6.1. So in pace he was cooking, but Austria cooked him. Or Barry R cooked him, or both. But one race doesn't tell the full picture. It never does. And the next race at the Hungaroring might tell a vastly different one. So there we are. That will do it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have gone through 3 races today. My goodness me. We've gone through Canada. We've gone through Miami and Austria. I know what races we did. Canada, Miami and Austria. America. And then we go across the very, very large pond to the hills of Spielberg, where all went very well for me. Finally beginning to gain some momentum. Next week, or next time, I'm on stream. We're going to watch through Hungary and Netherlands. Those were the next two. Hungary also was a sprint race, so you get to see what my overtaking skills are like. Finally. Hard to see the screen through the tears. Oh, I'm sorry, Jaylane. I'm so sorry. It's oh, I missed the first message. It's why it's taken me so long to edit Austria. Oh, I'm sorry, mate. I'm very, very sorry. It does get better at points, though. Let's remember. Like I said, one race never tells the full picture. Let's remember that. We'll take that to bed with us tonight. Let's take that with us as the main message of the day. One moment never paints the full picture. Picasso. Anyway, Hungary and Netherlands are next. Will I be able to carry on my run of victories? Will I be able to carry on my run of good results? More to the point. That is all for you to find out. But thank you very much for joining me on the journey of the Blackout Racing League. It has been a mighty, mighty big pleasure to watch these races through with you all. And, well, I look forward to doing it more with you all. Let me find... could we find the championship standings at this point? I don't know. Can we? Possibly not. I've no idea. Who knows? Well, if I ever find them, I will get them up for you, but I don't know if I can. So there you are. But I can't remember. I put myself up, I think, to like P4 or 5. I genuinely don't know. Miami obviously was a very good race for me. I know where I can find out where I was, at least at Miami. I can go to Jaylane's YouTube channel, which you all should go to as well, and subscribe and find out exactly what the standings were at that particular point. So, Jaylan3 into my search bar. I'm getting loads of Oh, go away, Instagram. Sorry, that's my brother messaging me. I love you, Jay, really. Right, so as you can see, this is the Jaylan channel. Here it is. The Blackout Racing Show, Episode 3 in Miami. And oh god, that's quite loud. Hello, mate. Discord shared image. Yeah, I'll look for it another time. I'll find it eventually. But we can find where I was at the end of Miami, at least. So these...
What a race!
Are the standings. What a race indeed. Terziak was leading the standings just from winning Miami and getting fastest lap. I'd moved up from, P11 to P3. And that's pretty good going. A bit full screen as well, because you can all get to see it in its full glory. Terziak, because he's the championship leader, is in capital letters. That is asserting dominance, and he's also in bold font. Bold font? Bold font. More dominance. So much dominance, I feel a sweat dripping down my forehead. But Miller in P2, despite the naff result at Miami, like I said, it just didn't go his way. He got swiped on the first lap, and that was the end of that. Myself in P3. Buck57 was 4th at this stage. Thanasi was P7, unbelievably. I can't really believe that, but that is what had happened. Buck20, Aston Martin's 9th and 10th, so teammates who drive together stay together. Or in Aston Martin's case, they do anyway. I think that's it, really. I'll try and find a shared image of the Austria standings. Is there a way to search up for shared images? How do you do that? Is there a way to do it? There probably is. Oh god. How do you do it? Inbox, no. Threads, no. Notifications, no. Member list, no. Is there a way to exclusively search up pictures in this damn thing? JPEG. Is there a way of doing that? No, that didn't work at all. And someone here in this chat in 2022 sent a photo of Ana de Armas. I don't really know why. Oh, you direct message, you absolute legend. Thank you, mate. You're staying up, want to see a pre... Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Absolutely, I do. Right, championship standings at this point, courtesy of Jaylane, who is an absolute superstar. So thank you, mate. Austria Blackout standings, season 15. And that is in downloads. I've got to remember that. Choo-choo! PNG. Right, here we are. It's in paint.net. You're going to have to allow me on that one, unfortunately. Here we are. Championship standings at this point. I'd moved up to 2nd in the championship after this week. So from 11th to 2nd. That's pretty good going. In fact, just for that, I'm going to give myself a nice smiley face. Milo in 3rd, Thanasi in 4th. Terziak still leads. He's got a 30-point gap. Like I say, he hasn't finished outside the top 2 positions at all this season. He got a win in Imola, and now he's had seconds all the way through. So we'll see if he can continue that run. See what you can do. Courtesy of Magico for sending it to me for the edits. What a legend. You know this graphic for Stan... Is it? Oh, you legend! Well, there you go. Magico's cooking even more in all of this. What a guy. Magico and J-Lane. Go and follow them and subscribe to their YouTube channels. Do it now. I'm watching you. But these are the proceedings, basically. So Slam's last with 1 point. Ouch. I don't know. It's not necessarily... Slam's just... Yeah, he got... just terribly unlucky, I think, as far as what I can remember. Either that or there was a bit of a shunt. Thanasi's now up to P4, so balance in the universe is almost restored. Milo in P3, Buck20 in P5, Buck57 in 6th. So, sandwiching in between his 2 numbers in his name, that's where he lies in the championship so far, which is sort of poetry. Pathiman in P7, what a guy. He's joint on points with Buck57, though. I've just changed scene for no reason. Lovely stuff. I'll try and fix that in a second. Oh, I can't be bothered, actually. You're going to have to listen to my voice instead. Stark in 8th. Jamie is in 9th. Wilco's in 10th. Vulcan, Dirk, Giraffe, Gordian, PM. Super. Gordian, PM, and it's Big Sam, Magico, J-Lane, Maximus, Raiden, and Slam with 1 solitary point. So, there you are. And that is where we shall end it. Yes, I do want to see a preview of Austria, because that will be absolutely amazing. And we can start cooking up on commentary there. I'm going to start playing a song. I'm not even going to do it. Actually, no, not that song, because the beat drop is too soon. But look at this standby screen. Scene is SB. I know it is. I know it is. I couldn't be bothered to change it. I'm a terrible streamer. But there we are. That will do it. We've watched Canada. It was terrible. We have watched Miami. It was marvellous. And we have watched Austria. It was astonishing. And that is all you really need to know in terms of a summary. Thank you all very much for watching along with me today. I apologise that it was no Blackout stuff for today. But, well, what can you do at the end of the day? What can you do? Hopefully there will be more next week. Actually, it probably will be next week because F1 24 is out. But the game, I can confirm in details, we are starting on F1 23. At least until the handling patch comes out. And then we find out if the game handles well. And if it does, we might well be moving over to the Max Verstappen pointy car simulator. We shall find out, though. Anywho, look at this lovely screen. Stream ending. Look at this. Magico also made this. He also made this one from earlier. What a guy. If you haven't gone and followed him, because you should, because he made all of these for me, because he is just the best husband in the world, go and follow him. And if you try and take him off me, I will hunt you down. I will find you. And I will... That's the nicest way of putting this. Slowly peel you limb by limb. Anywho, a big thank you to all of you for joining me for the ride. I hope you very much enjoyed. Blackout will be returning next week for season number 16. Charles Leclerc number. Season number 16 of the season will be coming your way very, very shortly. Until then, though, have a lovely evening. Let's hope F1 24 continues to improve from what we have now. Good night, husband. Good night, everybody. Have a lovely night. Or a lovely morning or day, depending on when you're watching this. I don't know really what to say. Other than, once again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting me always. Thank you to Blackout for allowing me to race and commentate. They are absolute superstars. Have a great night. And until next time, goodbye.